I know, it just makes
Right, yes.
Are you ready? All right, I'd like to open this special meeting of the Board of Finance for the final budget deliberations. Let's us open with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I want to thank Superintendent and Caroline for coming back. I think, oh wait, public comment?
Oh,
I'm
yes.
sorry.
So, Andy Korea, 45 West Wisconsin Road. So I went to the Board of Education meeting last night, spoke, couldn't stay the whole time, but watched on the video. Then I was alerted to the fact that the Board of Finance spoke about the Board of Education budget last night also. So this afternoon I went and looked. You guys were here for 2 hours and 13 minutes. I see we've got what, like 11 meetings in a row, you know? Scheduled. I see how, you guys really deliberate budgets really well, including making $2 transfers. One thing I noticed in the beginning of the meeting, you guys spent 20 minutes of your 2 hours and 13 minutes kind of ruminating about, were you too rough on the Board of Education? Did you step over line? And you guys said you did. I think you're completely wrong, right? About stepping over a line. About, can you tell them what to spend? Should you tell them what to spend? Like, two of those members are not worried about it, trust me, right? What you're doing is deliberating and discussing. So you've got two members that say, trust the administration, like it's the Catholic Church and there's dogmatic law, what they say must be true, right? And then you've got the rest of the universe that knows it's good to have another set of eyes on this. The rest of the universe knows the building principals are very busy, the budget is very limited what they do, they have to worry about, getting that shipped off and moving on, right? Other things that happened at the Board of Education, the discussion came up about the FOIC, cost of FOIC complaints. And Wendy Youngblood said that the problems start in the community when a complaint is filed. Luckily, Sarah Devine stepped up and said, well, wait a minute. The members of the public file one when there's an issue, right? Now, I filed one. My wife filed one because she got thrown out of a meeting, right? And I know Tom Keller filed one. All three of those FOIC complaints are related to Wendy Youngblood trying to conceal, doing an end around with Rosa Fernandez of her board to try to ensure that the surveys from teachers saying that the administration had a toxic climate was a problem. There was a summer where Wendy Youngblood went to all the Board of Education chairs in Connecticut and said, do I have to give survey data to the rest of my board because I don't trust them? She went to that same listserv and said, can I get a person put on the FOIC vexatious requesters list? Can I censure members of my board? Okay? And she said that she didn't go to the Board of Ed and tell her what they were spending money on legal because she didn't think it mattered. Like, she could handle it herself. Had she gone in a room in executive session and said, we're spending $400 an hour to try to hide my ethics complaint, and there was an open discussion, at least 4 of them would say, perhaps you should say you made a mistake. Okay? Because on December 4th, I will send everybody the email of 2024, before Wendy had an ethics complaint filed, right? Before there were any of these FOIC things, I sent an email and told her how both her and Rosa violated the Code of Ethics. Come out and clear it up, or I'm going to file an ethics complaint. I did. They spent 8 months trying to fight it, paying $400 an hour. I know where the legal bills are. I can show you. Okay? I sent you guys an FOIC consolidation complaint against the Board of Ethics. Okay? I had 2 complaints. I asked them to consolidate. A couple days ago, I got the hearing date, April 22nd. Today they told me they wouldn't consolidate. The reason why they're not consolidating, okay, is because they want it to go right away and not wait 2 months. I will have the same hearing officer for the complaint where they had a secret meeting and violated the code of ethics themselves, right? And falsified minutes. You'll have the same hearing officer that will write the opinion where I will beat Wendy Youngblood in the last FYC one, okay? I will be able to quote my own decision in the next one. The other decision I'm gonna quote is when Tom Beecher lost defending the Board of Finance against Bill Davidson. Because Tom Beecher is using the exact same logic to argue they can have secret meetings to hide ethics complaints as he did in 2014. So my advice is find Steve, tell him to get Tom Beecher and say, read your own opinions where you lost, stop hiding stuff, okay? And also in that meeting, the Board of Education, Stephanie Sakura mentioned several times, the Board of Finance can't tell us how to spend our money. When the superintendent and the finance subcommittee chair comes in and pitches you, here's how we're gonna change the district. They're telling you, give us your opinion, right? Whether you decide to add or subtract from their budget, you are essentially evaluating their plans. You can be effective or you can be right. It's technically true you can't tell them how to spend their money. It's ineffective for Stephanie Sakura or a former Board of Ed chair texting Glenn, don't tell us our business. You're also residents, so your opinion matters too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
I'll address some of that. I know we don't address, but I'm gonna address some of that. I did watch your Board of Ed meeting, and I do think, and I know Andy, you spoke, and Mark Marash spoke, is we have a new superintendent in town that did get bathrooms open. And I did think he started to address some of that legal in the meeting tonight, or Wednesday night, about the authority of who can go, if I misread that, about who can go to the lawyer. And it's buck's gonna come through you, like we talked about. I think we talked about this at this meeting, and I think when you stood up, you said that you and what I understood, just so everybody's clear, is you're gonna take control of who can contact the attorneys. You're gonna be the point guy. It's not gonna be a willy-nilly attorney, and you're gonna address some of these things that we can address. I can't have you come back. I can't afterwards. You can come back after, Andy.
Well, I gotta go, so.
This is, at this point, is not part of this agenda.
I was gonna
No,
correct
no,
that
I'm
too,
okay.
but we have to
I'm-
move to Board of
I
Finance.
can't have,
I think
All right.
it's good to make a
Thank
public,
you.
let's move on.
Yeah, I'm good. Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Andy.
That's it.
All right, Board of Ed, thanks for coming.
Can I-
Uh,
So,
I'm gonna hand it to you, so let me hand it, give me a minute. Since-
Rushing him. Brian's ready.
I know, but
Let him
since.
pull a car over before you.
I know. Ryan has been the one that's sort of been spearheading, speaking with Caroline and the superintendent, so I think at this point, it's only better for Brian to roll
I'm gonna
into.
spend a quick minute.
But
so.
go ahead, it's yours. There we go.
So, I sent them a email today that based on, when we talked last Wednesday, we were a little confused about the numbers and all that kind of stuff, right? Because we're finance, I'm a finance mark, you guys are finance. So Steve and I spent a fair amount of time, the numbers make sense, there were some adjustments, but it doesn't, the messages didn't change. We don't have to go through the numbers again. There's no value to show that the numbers tie out. They do now, okay? There's some change. So I don't think that's effective, or worth our time. So what I asked them to come back on are the 3 points. The first is, for some of the areas, particularly the Cubs thing, they're gonna make they'd make a large investment, and they're counting on savings by making that investment. And if the savings don't materialize, that could be as much as a $500,000 problem for the Board of Ed budget and, therefore for the town. And so want to talk about, so how do we how are you gonna manage so that that doesn't happen? That's one. And then the other two are just the things that we asked the Board of Ed to come back on. It was what's your position on the ASSO, and then on the part-time to full-time IT. So those were really the only three things I think we need to discuss. I don't think we needed to get in anything else. If there's any other topics, we'd be a little bit blindsiding at this point, but I don't think there are.
I
Any-
agree.
Is that okay? Everybody okay? Okay?
That's great, yeah, we don't have any other topics either, so we're not here to
Except we're not
pitch
prepared.
anything more. Yeah. So I do just wanna, if we could, we just wanna make sure that we're all working off the same numbers and because I think last week I felt like we might have walked away and there was a little confusion around the numbers we were talking about, so is it okay if we just look at those quick to make sure?
If you want, but
we're on the same page?
yeah, since we've tied them out,
Okay,
I think everybody's pretty comfortable.
There's a
That's
list.
fine.
Okay, that's fine. Well, that's fine.
Okay, just checking in there, so.
yeah, we're just, this looks about
You know, 310.
right to you all,
You can pass me one.
right?
Right, down to the 385.
Oh, do we have next? I can share with her.
No, we're good.
Okay. Sure, yeah, go ahead.
We had what, 378? Why do I put number 378?
The Board of Selectmen recommendation to us, here's the last line, I think it was 384, 385. It's the
Okay,
same
it was,
thing.
okay.
So this is really the Board of, the BOS budget that they sent to us,
Yes.
Correct,
okay?
yes.
Well, this has a list of insurance. so-
Yeah, because, yeah,
Okay,
because that's
fine.
a,
Okay, but that's okay.
Mhm.
I'll double check for that. I'm sure.
okay.
I suspect this is-
So with that, I think the Cubs program, I look at
That's
it,
exact, that's to the dollar, that's the right number. That's the number that
Oh,
we
yeah?
looked at yesterday's meeting.
Okay, we're just,
yeah,
And I'm
I'd like
good.
to check in.
Sorry,
That's
just
what I
trying
was
to-
on the screen yesterday as we left the meeting,
To the-
so.
a little workshopping after last week, so just want you to, yeah, so I think with the Cubs program, I look at it in two ways, and I do just want to share one element to it before I draw into, potential concerns with the risk and all of that. What I don't think I expressed last week well enough was not only would it be to support bringing students potentially who are not currently being educated in Brookfield back, but it would also be an opportunity for us to offer for students who might require servicing outside of Brookfield that we currently can't offer here, right? So it's almost like also a catch basin, because right now we don't have a program like that to offer. So for example, if we had a couple of kids right now seeming like they might not be able to continue from preschool into kindergarten, there would be a couple more outplacements right there if we don't have this program. If we have the program, we can offer it to students first, and then if we can't meet their needs here, then potentially that might happen. There's still going to be potentially some outplacement. So it is a twofold. It's not just bringing back, but it's also, we also need to consider how do we manage lessening the continuation of outplacements if we can, moving forward too. So it's kind of twofold. I just don't know if I was clear about that. So with that being said, I would share a couple of things. Number one, I believe the way we currently budget, unless I'm misspeaking, is that we account for the number of students that we anticipate right now that will be outplaced. We don't build in a contingency for that. Correct?
Right.
So what we see often from year to year is we go over on our special education spending because we don't necessarily have a contingency for that.
Right, but prior years before you came, since we have a complete history,
Yeah,
we
sure,
always
thank
made
you.
an agreement to keep that on the side. Your last year's Board of Ed said, no, we want full control of everything. But in
Okay.
prior years, we would say, okay, we're gonna put $300,000 aside for your overruns. We didn't even call them overruns. We never even used the word overspend, we never used the word terminology. So if you had to change from 29 to 32 students, we gave you the money. We didn't even
Okay.
ask twice.
All right.
But your Board of Ed
Right.
came and put their foot down and wanted to take over the whole ball of wax, and that's where that changed. So what you're speaking to now is correct, however, and Steve, go back, we did this for 5 years.
Yeah, about
Where we covered all of your
And when
special
did that
ed.
end?
Last year, they came in and demanded it here.
26,
Okay.
but.
And-
No, but
and
it was
the
also
table.
something that we also thought that it was more transparent for the town,
Right.
that this is an
Yeah.
expense
Oh,
that
to
goes on
see it
vote
in
of
the-
ed
yeah.
Correct,
side.
but we
yeah.
wouldn't have moved it without the demand. We
Yes,
would have kept it,
yes,
you're right,
it was-
I
it was-
apologize,
yes,
Naheed,
it
you're
was-
correct.
it was
But this was not our suggestion. Our suggestion
Okay.
was to keep it.
Right.
And then if you had your, because it's fluid, we know it's fluid, we
Right.
know it changes,
Right.
we've been here. but that was a decision on your part.
Thank you, I was not aware of that. So right now, currently, we're working already, we already started working with some families to, you know, set up meetings and already have initial conversations. We feel like it's going well. We're going to solidify that pretty soon. We wouldn't be hiring anyone, or process wouldn't even start, and they wouldn't be onboarded until August, right? So we have a time frame there before we start expending to make sure that the program can be put in place.
Can I ask a quick question on that? I think
Yes.
there's 4 staff for the. for this.
Correct.
Are all 4 new hire, or are you gonna move people somewhere else in other jobs into some of those positions?
So we would offer people internally the opportunity to be a part of this program if they were interested.
If they
This
had
program
skills
does
to-
not plan on, though, that they
Yes.
wouldn't be backfilled, or that there would be a reallocation at this time.
Okay, do you think that you have the skills to do that? Because part of it is in the short run, if you move somebody internally into it, you don't, until you backfill someone, there's a little protect there if you decide, you know, we'll have to make a change. Which is okay if you don't.
I think at this time, I'd be concerned with the cascading effect of that.
Okay, I mean, it's just naturally gonna happen, is my point. I'm not saying do anything different, it's just a natural bit of a cascade. If you do bring someone internally, there is a bit of a cascade, it just happens. I'm not
Mhm.
suggesting you manage that.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that there's any, do you expect of the 4 that you'll bring anybody in from, that's currently on staff, or do you think it's pretty much 4 new hires?
So my director of student services has an idea that there might be some interest
Okay, so
internally,
maybe so,
yeah,
that's fine, that's enough.
which we would love. You
Yeah,
know, we
absolutely.
would love to have folks from internally, you
Yep.
know, support it, upfront initially especially.
Yep.
But there are also many skilled educators who already work in programs like this in other places, that would be fun too. So yeah.
I mean, the reason I'm asking is because, let's say a year from now, we just say this thing isn't working. I know you don't want to think that way, right? But if it isn't, we know that the people that came from other places within it, they have the skills to go back to do other things.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's a less of a
Yes.
risk.
I
because-
understand.
So that's, I'm thinking about risk mitigation, that's all.
I understand. Right, I mean, if we had to in a year, you know, dismantle the program, we could, unfortunately. I would hope that it wouldn't be that way.
Oh, yeah,
I
I'm
don't
sure
think,
that's why I said you're probably not even trying to think that way, but
no,
I'm just talking
because I'm very
about risk
optimistic that
mitigation.
we're going to be very good at what we do. And so with that being said, I do think, you know, some of the other mitigating factors would be if you know, we had to look at other ways that we can continue to reduce within the budget or some of our spending. Currently, we'd have to look at that if something were to go not well with the program.
You're running it.
Comments on that? I'm
Go
just
ahead,
asking,
you're
do we
running
have
it. You're
questions
running
on
it.
that? I'm just gonna take these 3
So,
topics, that's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you what Board of Finance is doing on the town side. I'm going to ask you if you have any thoughts about that for Board of Ed, because Board of Ed also has a lot of moving, you know, unpredictable, especially special needs being one, and now that you're starting this in-house program, you still have a lot of kids that are going to be outplaced, you're not going to be able to bring everybody back.
Exactly.
It's gonna take a number of years to do that, so, we just talked about contingency. Is that something that you have thought about for Board of Ed budget?
Can you reframe that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure
I
I
don't know if I
understand the
quite follow.
All right,
I'm sorry.
so Board of Ed is going to put $500,000 into
Correct.
this program.
Mhm.
You still have your outplaced students, which is, that cost not going anywhere,
Correct.
right? So, I'm just saying, going forward, so I think my point was that we're planning 10 years ahead for the town. Is Board of Ed thinking on those lines as to what next year, the following year, considering you have a lot of commitments for the coming year? Your budget's going to be 4+, right?
I have a 4-year plan.
You do, okay.
I do.
Okay, okay.
It involves, you know, reorganization of some things, and the reorganization I want to ensure is implemented strategically, so that it doesn't have a negative cascading impact on other programs. So as I'm looking to reorganize and rebuild in other areas, and reallocate. I just want to make sure that the elimination of those programs don't have such a negative impact immediately by doing it like tomorrow, that it wouldn't work for either program, and then both are not successful. So I just want to make sure that the phase in, phase out is done strategically and thoughtfully, yeah.
But to be clear, when you say you have a 4-year plan, you kind of have a 4-year strategic plan of what you want to accomplish in the role. If I said, do you have a 4-year financial plan that supports that, would you say yes or no?
I would say that the finances go along with it, yes.
And so you have a view of what the financial budget would look like for the next 4
I have
years?
a view of the impact of those changes.
To a baseline that we don't have.
On
Correct.
particular programs, I think, right?
Yes.
You're asking if we have a holistic budget
Well, I think
plan,
that was the
right?
implication that you do, and I
Yeah.
don't think you do, and I just want to make sure we're clear on that. I
Yeah.
think you have
We-
the
so I
delta,
think,
but you don't have the
we-
base,
Mm-hmm.
right, which is, it's better.
Well, you're just
So-
starting now, so I'm
Yeah, no,
hoping
that's
that
fine.
since you
Mhm.
have this plan, we could
Yeah.
start working together and seeing how those
Absolutely.
numbers
Yeah.
unfold and how those, because at the end of the day, I think for both of us to collaborate and figure out how we can manage the coming next few years. I don't know if you watched the meeting yesterday and Brian's presentation yesterday.
I didn't get to.
Okay.
We had the board meeting.
You had your, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
so Brian did this, he has a model and he predicted, the coming years, and
Mhm.
it's going to be, the numbers are really,
Mhm.
so we need to kind of, together, mitigate those and kind of work on those.
I would agree, and
Yeah,
I
Highly-
think what
highly
Naheed
open
is
to that.
saying here is, and I'm gonna jump in and be good about it, is feedback we got was, we can't tell you how to spend your money. You said it 4 times in your meeting last night, reiterated it. I think it's not a matter of how to spend your money, it's a matter of how do we better help you manage your money? How do we help you get to where you need to go? And the cooperation isn't there to get to that level, and you need us as much as we need you. And you're looking at 4.5 next year, so if we talk along the lines of affordability, and we run it through Brian's model, his model says next year without anything, you're at 4.5. You can't even put an initiative in. You know, you are behind the 8 ball. And following years as well, that we can't build a police station. Our future is hinging on your budgets. We can't do police stations, we can't do community centers. And I asked Steve for a number today, and did you find that number, or did you not? You were too
Yeah,
busy.
we can put it up.
So what happened was, because of our discipline financially and our forward-looking in years, we were able to save millions in interest on that new school. Had we been paying that in our debt service, we'd have an extra, he was gonna show you, we'd be paying an extra certain percentage on his budget. We wouldn't even be talking about any initiatives. So when we try to drive home fiscal responsibility, and we try to say, hey, look at your budgets and scrub your budgets, because we scrub them down, and somebody said we moved $2 and something, it's not to be jerks, it's not to be idiots, it's not to be anything, but we're trying to do the most with the taxpayer dollars to ensure we get the biggest bang out of this. And to get told, well, the AOF can't tell us to spend their money, but you're gonna come to us and ask us for money. So part of that is, and we can't tell you, but part of it, I think Naheed said, is we're sort of all in this together. You know, in order to get to your goals, we can't have, oh, you can't tell us how to spend our money.
Well, I think
you
we
know,
feel that way. I think
Oh,
we're
he's got-
here, we're in this together
Yeah.
too. I mean, I'm in this together with you and only 4 weeks in, but, you know, we are. I mean, that's why we're here. We
Yes.
keep
I mean,
coming back, and I wanna keep working together. I wanna be able to build this out, and
I
I
mean,
understand the need to be fiscally responsible for this town.
and I think, there's, I am of the opinion, personally, I'm not gonna speak for anybody else, that, it's a holistic town budget,
Mhm.
right? The funding all comes from the same spot. And so I think we need to be collaborative in how it's best utilized in all the goals of the town. And so, and I don't think that means telling us exactly where to spend the money. I'm not hearing that message. I'm just hearing we need more visibility, we need more communication,
Thank
we need
you.
more planning,
Thank
we
you.
need more strategy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm speaking for myself,
But
that's
even
what I'm
We're
hearing.
offering to help you.
I
In
think
the
our
conversation.
offer is that we want to be helpful with our experience and our journey so far.
Yeah, and I think Steve and I both being new,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the teacher contracts are gonna have a large impact on the next 2 years,
Mhm.
right? On us
Right.
fiscally. We're gonna have to come up with ways to mitigate those
Exactly.
increased costs.
Right.
I mean, do I have the answers? Do we have the answers today? No, we do not.
But see, but that's what I'm talking about, it's a great conversation, I'm not gonna put it down on this, but part of our planning is we think about that before we enter into these.
And that's what we're gonna start doing.
Yes,
Never
let's
mind.
move into
All
the
right, case
future.
closed. Move down. You said the right
Let's move into the
Case
future,
closed.
and we work together to mitigate it.
Yeah, I
We'll-
think there's,
we'll come
you
up
know,
with
there's a
creative
lot of ways
solutions.
to improve the review and the budget process
Yeah.
going forward.
I just would
Yeah.
add that we together need to get a budget that the residents approve that first go round. Because
That's the goal.
if it isn't
Mhm.
approved, we're gonna get decimated. It's very expensive to have a second referendum, and it's happened to us once in the last 10 years, and we had to make cuts we absolutely did not wanna make. There
Mhm.
wasn't an outrageous budget, right?
Have it in a reval year,
It happened in revalue.
so it
People
changed
got a little.
people's mentality,
Yeah.
I think, on that,
So we're coming up into a reval year.
It's
This
just
is
a
a
matter
year.
of the taxpayers wanna know their dollars are being spent properly and scrutinized, and that's part of our job, and that's when we wanna spend the money, we wanna help everybody, but we got constraints, and that's why we're hard on these line items and saying, hey, you know, we need as many pennies as we can shake out of this bag and work together. And so go ahead, Brian, I'll let you
Yeah,
take
so,
over now.
before I go into this, again, this is maybe, Steve, I don't know if you know this or not, because you're new, right, but, it's been proven historically that the town tends to support a budget that where taxes increase 4% and tends to not like if it's over 4%,
Mhm.
right? So, for the last 3 years that I've been around and before that, we've been keeping the tax increases under 4%. In the last at least 2 years, we did that by the Board of Ed's budget being above 4%, 5-6% range, and the town's budget being less, right? So when people say, well, just give us a number based on an affordability, if we were not doing any thinking, you'd get a 4% budget increase or something less so that it passes. But for, at least for the last 2 years, and I think going forward, we're going to try to actually think and do right thought, right? But if the Board of Ed hasn't done this or hasn't seen it, Carolyn, you might want to offer to share this to them. I think everyone saw that Bob Belden did an analysis, a detailed
Mhm.
analysis of the teachers and
Yeah.
parents, right? And that's all this is. And
Yeah.
so there's really only 2 other, or 3 other variables in here. So, so if we give a 4% increase to all the other staff and everybody else is getting more, pick whatever number you want. By the way, this changes if you change the number
Yeah.
of the salary. And if the benefits, which are growing 9% this year, of which healthcare is 12, right, but the aggregate's not, if somehow that improves to 7%, which I don't think it will, but who knows, I don't know anything, that says next year you get to spend an additional $30,000 on everything else. Electricity, gas, initiatives, transportation. There's no money to, I mean, all of your work that's gonna actually help save money in your initiatives is gonna go to pay for the cost of buses going up, you know, I mean, not for doing more things. So this is, I think, I don't know, it's compelling and I don't know, it causes me to pause when
Scary.
I saw this, right? And I don't know
I
if,
mean-
I don't know if the Board of Ed understands this.
That's my point. And you said the word scary, and I think that's where I get out of line. I get scared, because I look at that saying, how are you gonna manage on 30,000, and we're paid low for gas this year. We're low on fuel oil. Everything is in our favor except for the health benefits. How are you gonna manage this? And when I bring it up, every sort of, well, we don't know, and some of the answers, well, we didn't look 2 years ahead. We didn't understand the impact of the teacher's contract. But yet, we gotta deal with it on our side. We gotta deal with this, is how do we support you? And if we gotta support you more than $30,000, what are we gonna do to Steve? Because now Steve's gotta take that hit to get us under 4. So now, we had a department come to us this week and say, we need a guy. We haven't hired a guy in 17 years. We haven't hired a guy in the town works department. I mean, a big department. That's 17 years they haven't added a body. And we've added roads, we've added a lot of people. And we gave that, and it's like, you can't get to this point without working with us, that we can make this whole thing work. I
Yeah.
mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this message is not known by others.
I
So
think
you
we
might-
have the right people on the
That's
table.
why- that's
so
why we're
we're-
sharing it.
We're,
That's why we're sharing it.
we're good.
Yep, okay, so that's,
Yeah.
maybe that's topic one. I'm in sleep. So should we switch over to the two topics that we asked for the Board of Ed opinion on, is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. The ASSO first?
So that's a tough one. Do you want me to talk to it, or?
You can start.
I mean, so we did talk about it a little last night, and so what I'm under the impression of is the Board of Ed or aligned with the recommendation from the Chief of Police that another armed security officer was needed in the schools. And so when it was originally presented to the Board of Ed, it was more of, we're recommending this, we need this, are you aligned to having it in the school district? And so I think,
Can I add to that?
yeah, go right ahead.
So I think it was more, was less about because there are security concerns and more about the opportunity to have an extra ASSO in the event that someone is absent. But not because we needed to necessarily increase our security at any given school. Does that make sense? But it was more of having
I
someone
spoke to the
available.
chief today on this.
Oh,
for an hour.
okay, yeah.
And it is that this isn't a blue sky thing, this isn't a what if, this happened a couple of gaps. Not that we're not secure, but because of people being out, surgeries, that there was gaps in the security.
Okay.
And this is the reason why he felt that this is a need and a definite need. He said he brought the attention to the gaps of the Board of Ed and mentioned, because he's on their security task team, that, you know, if you asked me to do an analysis, we had a couple of gaps that happened during the time of the year, and if you want a full, you know, to cover your full gaps, we need this ASSO in place. So this is the conversation that I had today, you know, just to understand a little bit more into the gaps. So, all right, so
So it sounds like the Board of Ed and you agree that we need this resource. Is that right?
I mean,
Based on the recommendation from the police department, which Glenn,
No, I think
Well,
what
that's
she's
what
trying to
we
say-
just heard,
Just-
but I think the board didn't realize that. The board, I would tell you the conversation last night that
oh, that's
they
not.
didn't have it
Yeah.
as a priority,
Oh.
nor did we budget for it, nor did they think.
Yeah, I was
So, can I ask a question? In all the
Right.
priorities of the Board of Ed,
Mhm.
would the ASSO be 1 or 2 or 3?
It was not at all.
it wasn't presented as that
Yeah.
originally when
Correct.
we were
Right.
going through the budget,
And
in
this is
fairness.
back
of the
to the
ASSO,
discussion,
would it have been 1,
hey, if
2,
you're
or
gonna
3?
give me
And Steve
resources
said
for
it wasn't
free,
even
I'm
anything at all.
absolutely saying
It wasn't even on
So,
their radar.
this is again, and we're having nice conversations, so please
Sure.
don't,
I'm
please
not at
don't
all.
take this
No,
as,
you're.
This is
I
how-
took the time to make a phone call to the chief of police.
Right.
Where is the Board of Ed making that phone call to the chief of police and understanding this? I took an hour out of my day today. Chief, we're gonna talk about the ASO today. I wanna be able to talk sensibly. I don't wanna make anybody uncomfortable. I just wanna have facts. Nice conversation. And his also comeback was, and this is the pressure that Steve's under as well, is if this is a need, and there was gaps identified, Steve's gotta take that hit on his side. He's gotta take a $140,000 hit, and we're pushing him down to be reasonable on his budgets. And the police chief is saying, I needed another police officer, because I have needs, because the town's growing by 500. I can't afford this in my budget. You guys approve it, but yet we couldn't come together and figure out a way to manage the costs of this. We couldn't come together as a need of the town, and you can kick me if I'm going wrong here, and figure this out. I mean.
I think, we can't go back in the past, we have to move we have to move forward. There's a communication gap that seems to be, they're aligned, but they didn't think it was part of their budget, or, you know, so I'm just saying that,
It for sure
what is your
wasn't
position
presented
now?
that way.
What is your
I mean,
position now? What do you think now?
I just forget
They
cost.
can't.
I don't think they can
The whole
say.
board's not here, they
I don't
can't.
think they can
Yeah.
say, and I
So,
respect
right,
that.
so forget cost for a second. The first part I was just trying to get is, I think, and this is from talking to several people, I think the police are pretty strong that they think this is a real need. And I'm just wondering, does the Board of Ed think it's a real need?
we voted and aligned to it
I
in
agree.
January.
In January.
Yeah.
But what does
I
that mean
wasn't
voted
here,
in line?
but-
I'm trying to use
And
real
in
straight talk.
fairness, you guys thought it was a need, we just didn't know where to put the cost.
Yeah, well, now, you look at this, if we have gaps, somebody's out sick, or
Right.
somebody couldn't make it in, can we ask police officers to come fill in and pay
Right.
them?
We-
Paying $140,000
John
a
said no.
year for 20.
John,
10,
I actually
15,
spoke to
20
that, and he said no, and he said you can't call out the towns, and that we are strapped even in our own police force right now. So,
Well, what I'm just trying to get at.
How many
I'm sorry.
hours, how many, so, and I don't know if I can, if the gap is too wide, and how big is that?
Can I just, I'm just trying to get, we've already got to step 3 now, we've got to step 1, right? Is this a problem we have to solve? If it's a problem we have to solve, and it's falling on the Board of Finance because no one else has solved it, well then, okay, shame on the process, but it's a problem we gotta solve. If it's not a problem we have to solve, I'm gonna go do something else. So that's what I'm trying to get. Do we gotta solve this problem, or is the
So
board
I
then
think
saying,
the
I really
problem
don't need
needs,
this, so
the
it's not a
problem
problem?
needs more definition, how many hours is the gap for? And if-
When I read the letter from the chief of police from the January minutes, I mean, it was more of a pitch around having extra coverage when someone's out on vacation and things more along those lines. I didn't have a personal conversation with the chief of police, and maybe there's different things to be said in person, but I mean, it didn't indicate that there were major gaps in that, in the presentation in the January board meeting. And I think the board did align, if the police department is saying this is a need, I mean, I don't think there was a question that the board wouldn't support that. The conversation, for whatever reason at the time, wasn't a financial conversation, right? And
But it's
that's,
always gotta be part of the conversation, because the Board of Ed is saying, and rightly so, sure, I'll take another ASSO, it's not gonna cost me a
but
penny.
the
Wait
precedent
a
to
minute,
the
let me finish.
process is that,
I think the Board of Ed should prioritize the ASSO. Is it important enough and a security issue big enough for you to actually fund it, regardless of where it actually gets funded?
in fairness, so that's a different conversation after the budget process. As it's presented, and the process that we've been following is that those officers on school property are aligned with the Board of Ed, but paid for through the police. That right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm not saying that that's right. So it's hard to say in January that the assumptions around that would be different when having that conversation.
And I guess
So-
not knowing anything about this and how it's worked in the past, and this happened in January, I would think before someone comes before the board to present an extra personnel member that is typically paid out of a different budget, that they may have already gotten approval for that before we take a vote. I would just assume that might be a,
Is the
A
first
process
also paid by
part?
the Board of Ed?
Well, I think
No,
the other,
they're-
one of the issues too is, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, some of this is flowing off of ARPA too. We were able to get like the ASSO and I think an SRO because
Yeah.
we had the ARPA fund. So
oh, right.
It's
years
100%
ago,
in our
back
budget.
before you guys were all on the board and Steve was here and Glenn and I were here, we had things that we were, positions that we were funding with the ARPA money that we got, and we all at the table kept saying, this is going to come to a head when we have these positions that we've implemented with ARPA funds that are now going to need to be paid for. But,
Yeah, out of the town budget. So,
So-
I mean,
let's go
Okay.
back,
That's
hold
just
on,
where I
yeah,
think
I
we're
agree.
at.
Let's
So-
circle back,
So-
let's circle back.
But
Hold
to
on.
answer that question, I'm just saying, I think that's where it happened, why it kind of gets tamped down a little bit and you don't realize the expense, because it wasn't an expense until it's an expense.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
So
yes,
those
and
funds
yes,
go away.
yes.
Absolutely.
I think Brian's question
Is
was very pertinent.
perfect.
Is this a problem or not a problem? When I did speak, there's concerns, and obviously safety's at the top of all of our lists,
Absolutely.
as well as yours, and I know, I'm not saying that to be, I know it's yours
Yep,
too.
absolutely.
So, I know Steve's, so let's also be clear on that.
yeah,
I think because the way this is manifested, I guess is a term, I can use, is this something that we implement like we talked about? We put it in the budget for
That's
January.
our deliberation.
No, but hear about my thing. It's not a deliberate, a thought process. This isn't if we were to put money in for the start of January, right, in this budget, that gives us time to frame it, to understand it. And if we don't utilize it, the worst thing we're gonna have is a little bit more in our contingency. What I'm saying is, we're at the 11th hour budget. right?
I'm exactly
Yeah.
with you on that.
He's 100%.
I'm in agreement.
So I'm not deliberating, I'm just saying, is this a thought process?
There might be a different way to solve it than just hiring someone.
I don't have an
If we don't
answer.
have any money, then we can't do anything.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's my thought on this process.
Yeah,
So
and I think
This
that-
sort of, they're sort of blindsided,
Right.
in fairness to them, and you've told me I have to be aware of
Like,
this.
I've never once brought up one, I just,
No.
I'm trying to find out if there's a need.
No,
And I'm not getting a very.
but we sort of
definitive answer.
blindsided them, in a way, because
Well,
they thought it was
I've asked- I
inside.
sent the note.
Right.
Week ago,
Well,
so.
I think that
Well, no, so-
what's
All right,
the-
so no, to get a chance to defend it, Caroline, go ahead.
Well, so the blindsided is more around that it needs to be, the decision now has to be budget inclusive, right? And I know that sounds,
It just does,
I mean,
everything does.
but in fairness, that was never how the ask was presented originally, right? And
Or has ever been.
or has been. And again, we can move forward in a different direction and
Yep.
agree that it should be weighted against other things. I'm
Right.
not
Okay.
disagreeing
I think
with
what
that.
Brian just told me in a sense, and I'll say it to be blunt, is he sent this out a week ago and we didn't get a response back. I sent out an email about consolidating the services of the town, we didn't get a response back. Steve sent an email out about reviewing the budget, didn't get a response back. So that's part of the communication thing that he's saying. I did say that, so you really weren't blindsided, you knew about this a week ago. We're not gonna get into bad things, I'm staying above board, but I'm just saying this is the communication thing that we fall down on. And that talks to you, Naheed.
And
So
so,
we're-
look, I'm gonna say, I'm assuming we're all in agreement that there's some need that needs to be addressed here.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think-
Whether it be
yes.
filled in with police
Yes.
officers,
Yeah.
whether it be filled in with an ASSO, whether it be, Marcia raises her hand, hold
Hey, let me
on.
finish my I didn't get to finish my sentence, you cut me off, man.
All right, sorry.
Okay,
Make it
I'm
10,000.
gonna also ask you to use this as another example where the Board of Ed is making decisions without thinking about the financial implications of it, that someone would have to pay for this. That's where maybe involving people that have financial acumen, I would never make a decision on anything without understanding what's the financial implication of that. Okay, so it's just another, don't have to comment on it, it's just another example where I think you guys need some help on financial
I
stuff,
would-
and
I
we're
would like-
available to help.
I would like to
It's
make a
just-
comment.
It's just an ad, just another ad.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yeah.
I will say, last night, when we talked about adopting a new textbook, that was my first question, was it not, Mr. Parisi?
It was.
What was the financial
Give her a
impact?
gold star.
It was.
I mean, please.
You know,
I guess I feel though
I
I need to address a couple of things because,
100%.
you know, I don't feel blindsided. I understand a question came our way, but a Board of Ed budget had already been adopted and forwarded to you all. So I guess I didn't understand, at first, at one point, it was inclusive, there was a lot of confusion around it. At first, it was supposed to be in our budget, even after it was adopted and forwarded to the Board of Selectmen. Then all of a sudden, I was told it was not. And then there's, what do you think about the SSO? I didn't make any recommendation. I just found out yesterday about the January meeting, that all that happened. So I feel like I know this is a topic out there. There
Yeah.
just seems to be a lot of miscommunication all
When you
over.
hear, and I'll say it, and it's gonna be wrong, and I'm okay with this. When you hear about can't do, we're pretty loose at this table, sitting here like now having a conversation. You don't, we can bend rules, you know, that if we can talk to each other and have communications. You know, we don't run with the strict Robert's rules as much as we should, and that's part of our success as a group. To have, like tonight, to have you come and sit, so to be afraid of, oh, we had submitted it and we can't do that anymore, is not the answer. We're looking for you to come like this and say, hey, this is what happened.
I fully expected you guys to come in and say, we think we need this, it wasn't our budget, we don't know how to contain it, that's where we're at. That's what I thought you were gonna come back with, right?
Marcia's dying.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that two things. One, that this has been confusing from the beginning because we had a meeting with the chief of police, Casey, and me, and I came out of that meeting thinking that he wasn't putting it in his budget. And then I got an ex-party form to put it in a budget, and I called Casey, I said, he is putting it in his budget, and she quickly changed the agenda. So I mean, the whole concept of how we do this has to change. because-
I agree.
Because it came
I-
to me, I knew nothing about your January conversation. I did not know the chief of police had recommended to your safety commission that he
He
wanted
was
you
part of
to
the
add an
commission
ASS.
though, so it wasn't like
He's
the,
part of
yeah,
the
yeah, so I mean,
subcommittee. But
yeah.
no, anytime, so I get blindsided
But- and-
by an addition to the budget.
This is a good thing to do a post.
And if I say no, I
Yes,
look like
this is a
we
great
look like the
scenario
bad
that-
guys
This is
saying,
a good-
we don't wanna
How do
protect
we,
our
this
children.
is a great
More
use
to
case.
communicate.
Great use case.
The
Better
second thing-
communication,
more
more,
important.
more.
Yeah.
On our side,
Hey,
too.
whoa, Marcia's got the floor, we haven't handed the baton yet.
The second thing that's more important is, did you talk to the chief of police? Could we do it part-time? Because that automatically cuts out
That's what
$40,000.
Steve suggested. That's what
I-
Steve
If
suggested.
we
We
don't
don't
have
have
a
an
police
answer, I
officer-
only asked the history today. I didn't wanna delve into your end of this, I didn't wanna delve into
No,
other
that's fine.
people's
Yeah.
end of this.
But
I
we
wanted
have-
to understand a little
Right, we
more.
have to understand, our chief of police is never, ever going to recommend less security than
He
more
can't.
security.
And we're
Never.
all
Can't.
for
Sure.
security.
Steve, he
We're
can't.
all for security,
Right?
yes.
And he's not going
My
to, he's
thing-
not
no.
gonna consider the money,
Right.
he's gonna come to all of us and say, I think you need it.
My thing was, and
I'm
when
with
I
you,
talked to him, you know, and again,
And
we had
rightly
a
so.
private conversation that was good. It wasn't about what if, the sun went down 3 times in a day. It was identified gaps that have happened. And they weren't like, we weren't unsafe, I'm not, please don't think, but these weren't, oh, it could happen, or maybe it'll happen. These were 2 incidences or gaps, not incident, the gaps that happened that drew his concern, right? And that's why I think
understand.
that
I
it's not a,
think we've beaten this one.
We have.
I think we're good.
100%.
So I'm gonna, unless someone has something compelling, I think, let's put an end to this one. I think we know where we're at. Is that okay? I keep looking.
I think more consideration should be given to Marcia's idea of maybe we get a cadre of certified officers who are willing to work part-time, and we can call them up. Rather than putting
We
them
can work on
you
the
sit
problem
with
later.
Marcia and sit
Yeah,
with the
you guys got
superintendent,
it.
sit with the
Meeting.
chief.
This is a budget
Yes,
meeting.
yes.
And
No,
figure it
I think
out.
We're
Yeah.
good. I
Well,
think
We're
we're
getting
good.
off.
Alright.
The subject.
We have a
Parking lot,
But I
that,
think that-
where's
I
the
think
parking
we-
lot?
Right.
Heard that term before?
Yep.
No, no
No,
takers?
okay, let's have the same exact discussion on IT.
That,
Third
that,
topic.
that was a brand new request,
There you
to be
Don't-
fair.
Didn't
Okay.
know
But so-
about
so
this
that's
at
good.
all.
So listen, so the IT department who wants to do this and knows half and half is paid has not reached out to the Board of Ed to discuss this, is that correct?
Correct.
Or to you to
Correct.
discuss? I don't wanna have any more discussion. There's no value, I don't think, in having discussion.
No, there is.
Why, they don't know anything about it.
Well, they can still comment on it. I mean, there's value in this.
Go
I think there.
Go ahead.
I
You're
know,
right. Go ahead.
Brian. I think there's value in this conversation we're having at the table in general. In general, what we're
So,
talking about.
okay, it's gonna be the same one, but go ahead,
Right.
it's okay. I'm
They,
okay.
they were.
Let's
They
show-
didn't have an idea of it. The IT IT director came to us 3 years ago. They came to us and said, "We need a person," and we pushed them down to a half a person. Like we try to work with you. We push you down in different boxes too. They worked with a half, and they outgrew the half, and now they need a whole. They feel to make their needs. Now, when they came to us on their next priority list, which Marcia, we're trying to implement on your side as well, the next priority list, that was one of their topics. And so we have a 50-50 split. Brian's right, you can't talk about it because you didn't know about it. It's $17,400 on each side. Now, we know this, and we're in a quandary on this because we sort of need it on our side. So here's where we need help on our side because we have our needs in the police, we have needs in the library, we have needs.
And I think it would be more 60-40, 65-35 town side?
Yeah, but we can, it's
Yeah,
a
we can-
team though, so you
yeah.
can't split the preference, it's just a team. So I'm saying this is what, and this is where, had we be closer together, had we had communications, we could figure this out. And I think that's part of where we were trying to get to.
It's another thing we've got to learn from. If someone needs to spend your money, they better talk to you.
Yeah, and I
Usually
think
important.
it-
That's a
it'd
good
be good,
idea.
it'd be good to know.
Start.
I mean, and it goes towards the larger conversation if we're starting to explore other areas of opportunity of shared resources, right?
Yes.
We need an operating model in which we're gonna operate within that, right? And, I mean, this is a good example, right? I think we've seen success in the shared IT model from a, you know, a work and a, you know, resource. But to your point, I mean, that should be a shared conversation, right? If there's gonna be
It should, I think the problem was you
resources.
guys do your budget in December, and the next priority forms weren't even created then. And so, when we have shared services, if we're gonna, if IT is going to ask for an additional person,
So
they
maybe they
have to
have to
create
speed
that
up their
in
request.
November to
Yeah.
give
Right.
to
There
you,
you go.
because you don't know
Yeah.
anything
They
about
should do
it,
it on our
For
Yeah.
shared services.
right? That's just
But
for
I
IT,
think-
it should
I
be
think this is a
created
great
ahead of time.
segue for what Glenn suggested at the tri-board meeting, what Steve's been talking about is, for the future of the town, shared resources is a great idea, and not this particular one, not at this time because you weren't, but maybe this is a conversation we have every month, and we figure out how we
I
can
think
build
more
on this.
important than the shared resources is the communication levels. When we ask a question, get back to us, so we're not in that thing.
understanding the implications, like Brian's saying, of decisions made, because right now you're stuck in the, and we can help you, and that's what part of the thing is, and we gotta fight for every dollar, and I think more importantly is having these conversations, but having them where there's no excuses, there's just conversation, and to me, this is the thing is, you guys have a big problem next year, not this budget year, yeah, you're gonna have struggles this year, but the next year, you got a major problem. Brian, you get $30,000 to do everything. That's buying gas, that's buying paper clips, that's all you have. And how can you run your I'll call it your business on that? You can't. So that's where we pushed back and got really scared about everything is your lifeline is another 2% on your budget, which means the town is gonna be in uncharted territories. So I think it's more communication. Then we get, like to me, we start to share these resources. And I'll get off my horse in a minute. Steve, me and Brianna have been here a long time with Marcia. We were reactive through the macro burst. We were reactive through COVID. We were reactive through the debt bubble of the high school coming, the new school coming on. We had to be so disciplined. Now we're in a position to be proactive.
Yeah.
And we're in a position to make better decisions and that's what we're saying is we want to make good decisions on all sides, because if we all make good decisions,
Then we can all do what we want,
Exactly.
Thank
right?
you.
Isn't
Yep.
that the ultimate?
That is the ultimate.
And also-
That is the ultimate.
Wow, she's
yeah.
finishing
To
my
Brian's, to Brian's
So,
point,
I mean,
I think to Brian and to everybody's point here is too, is when, especially during budget season, when we ask you all those questions, Brian has to stand up and however many people are going to come and listen to the budget, and he has to.
Millions on YouTube.
So we have a public meeting.
So we have a
You're not-
public meeting
are
and
you-
Brian-
are you
the
familiar?
hearing at the end of the month.
Right,
Yeah.
so
I heard
Brian
about it.
stands
I
up,
just heard of, yeah.
Brian
March
stands up
31st.
and
Yeah.
presents the entire budget to the town, who's ever watching their.
My job is to sell your budget to the town.
Kinda
Right.
like
And
state
that's if I do
town.
something about it.
So that's why, we
Yeah.
ask these questions is so we know about it, we understand it, we've got a good handle on it, so we can say this is the best absolute budget that we are delivering to you, that you're gonna vote and you're gonna approve and we're gonna adopt.
Yeah.
If we don't know that,
How do you
it's like,
sell it?
well, this sandwich is kind of good, but we're not sure it's super good, but it might be good.
If I didn't know that, I wouldn't try to sell it,
Right,
right? Say, here's a budget, I don't know anything about it,
so.
so I just wanna vote for it. We don't think you want that, right?
We did, again, right, and we did talk about last night that I pushed a little hard on you guys, and I probably crossed a line or two. But we gotta figure this out together, regardless, we gotta figure this out, and we gotta manage this, and I apologize for my aggressiveness, but it's to get to a number that makes sense. And I guess, we weren't getting the feedback like we get tonight in the conversations, we weren't getting that, we don't look at that, we don't do this, and it's like, we gotta find a way to say we can do this, we will look at this, hey, you guys asked for this, let's get it to them, and it's not a matter to tear it down, it's a matter to build it up. It's a matter to say, hey, we've looked at this in our businesses, and we did this in our business, and we saved $40,000 in our business this way. Naheed looks at things and say, this is how we do it in my business, and we look and say, oh, there's $10,000 there. We start stacking these dollars, your initiatives become easier to fund.
Well, I think it's
I don't disagree.
adopting best practices for financial planning, right? Like,
Now you're speaking Marcia's
and we're-
language.
and
Now,
we're-
now you might as
no,
well.
I'm serious though, I mean, cause there's a methodology of going from just one year to the next year to the next year, right? Which only gets you so far, but, I mean, I'm more accustomed to the conversation of financial planning, right? What does next year look like? What does 5 years look like? What do we want 10 years from now, the district to look like? And I think you're certainly aligned to that
Yeah, and I
that
think,
methodology.
you're asking me if we have some of those numbers, and I guarantee you we do. I don't think it's something that I've spent a lot of time in my first month,
Yeah.
because the process of where it was, and I'm still kind of learning all that, and some of the communication and trying to figure things out, and I'll own that. But I do think we're forecasting some changes to be more responsible and be able to present a budget that continues to look at how we can restack, so that way we're not spending more, but we're able to do more with what we have.
Yep.
I absolutely think that. And-
I've learned so much in the last 2 years, and it's a continuous learning
Mhm.
process, and we all learn together, and we all do what we can for the town, so,
Mhm.
Mhm.
we're,
Yeah.
I'm
And no,
good.
thank you,
Why not-
thank you for
Thank
coming,
you.
yeah, for sure.
You should share.
No, yeah, don't do that now.
Don't share anything you're gonna get in trouble with.
No.
Like they said we could
But
leave.
before you go, whoa, wait, before you go,
Bring it into the next Board of Finance meeting.
before you go,
Okay,
Les, do you have any questions? You were
Yeah.
quiet down there.
Oh, yeah.
Les hasn't said
Sorry,
a word.
sir.
This is probably a silly question, but I was reading in this report you all gave us, I think, at the tri-board meeting or something, it was a Brookfield, budget proposal questions and answers. And there was a thing about the ASSO is paid out of the police department, because I wanted to clarify who's paying for it. It also said we paid $5,200 for security in 24-25, and $6,500 is in the budget for 26-27. What is that for? Any idea?
I'll take a
6,500?
gander at it if you don't know, and it's just a gander.
I have to find out.
I
you
think
know, to
they
be honest, yeah.
needed to
Yeah.
have police show up for the Board of Ed
Oh,
meetings,
it
because there
is.
was a fear
It
from
is,
the
yes.
staff
Oh, yeah.
of being
Yes,
harassed.
that was correct.
And that
And
cost
that
$6,500.
we escorted the superintendent
That
to
was
his
my terms of
car
multiple
and
meetings.
all of that stuff, but.
So,
that
right,
is-
we do have night service security come,
But
and they pay extra for that.
So that's
Okay.
Probably what it
Yes.
is.
that's
That's
likely,
probably what it is.
we
But-
can
Alright.
confirm,
It is.
but.
Yeah.
But as
Confirmed,
these
but-
things, again, now Les brought it up, and I know I'm getting into, these are the things we can look at. Do
These
we
are things
really
we
need this?
reevaluate,
Do we
absolutely.
can we look at this and say, hey, you know, we understand the tensions that are at your meeting, we all watch them, don't get me wrong, I mean, we're not oblivious to it. But these are the costs that, I don't wanna get into your business, but these are what I'm trying to say, is this is what we're looking at. And the same thing, you know, you had a discussion on the legal fees and how you, and Carol and I had a talk offline on this too, is like, can you go back to Shipman and say, hey, we're spending $500 an hour, can you do it for $450 an hour now?
Absolutely.
And you
Who-
know
who
what?
else do you have on
What-
staff?
What can you do for us? And I
Right.
think these are, and I don't wanna get too, these are the things that we would be looking at and asking Marcia to go back or Steve to go back, and you might pick up 20,000. And this is, and like this, we're paying, Les brought this up here, can you say, hey, let's try it without, we don't maybe need this guy right now, you know, and I know you don't wanna put yourself in a bad situation, but is it at the level of spending $11,000 that we could be spending on the children? I mean, I guess,
Yeah.
sorry, I mean, that's more of our drive, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
But,
And
and I
this
think
is-
we have the same goal, keep looking at these ways that we can reduce costs, but also utilize the resources we have. Absolutely.
And just because I've been silent down here, like you, I've only been quote unquote on the job here for about a month.
Oh, okay.
And I came in here under the erroneous impression that the Board of Finance was, you know, we covered everything. We looked at education, we looked at Department of Public Works, fire, police, blah, blah. So when I found out that, you know, well, I didn't see any information on Board of Ed, I'm thinking, well, how are we gonna make any decisions? But I'm slowly understanding the communication
Maybe.
issue and how this is gonna work.
We can do
It is
better.
working.
We can do better.
Definitely could do
And we
better,
should.
yeah.
we know you're paying attention, because you've been hot on things, so don't think I'm wrong. Nahid, you wanna take the floor quick and
No, no, I
close
was just
this
gonna
out?
say, let's all try to do better, right? That's it.
Right.
All of
Absolutely.
us together.
John, you wanna add something to this?
I think we're just here to help down the road and make better decisions. We don't wanna tell anyone what to do with their money, but we wanna just put you guys in the best position going forward.
And in overall, we're still stewards of the town for the taxpayer dollars.
Yes.
I mean, and that's our role. Unfortunately, we signed up for that. We're still stewards for the financial responsibility of the town. So part of our role is we just wanna make sure, and then like Brian, when he gets up there, he wants to say, we're spending all your dollars really well, and we're
Yeah.
really tracking it, and we're pushing down with the waste, and we're doing things because that's what the taxpayers are expecting of us. You don't wanna add anything, Nahid, you're good. Brianna, you're good. Brian, you wanna add anything before
Just,
we
I
close
mean, I've
this
said it
up?
100 times, I think with you two, we're establishing a relationship, I think I'm really happy with what's been started. Let's just make sure it is a start, we really keep going.
Yeah, I
think we
mean,
really help you guys a lot.
I think going forward, I mean, you know, I'm committed to coming to the monthly meetings as just a start. I mean, and coming in and sharing financials, sharing updates. I mean, whatever, you know, whatever structure we want to start moving forward with. I mean,
So then my challenge to leave you on.
oh boy.
No, you two seem to get it. You gotta get your board around to work together and communicate and to figure out a way to, if your board can communicate like this board, it would be really well. It's a challenge. I understand it's a challenge, but it would make all of our lives
much easier in the process if we understood the financial part. We can't, I don't even wanna know the teaching part, the discipline part, but if you could get the financial understanding of your board, I think we can go a long way. I don't know how else to say it.
And, you know, I don't know what's in the rearview mirror necessarily. What I do know.
We're looking forward.
Yeah,
He said
I mean,
we're looking forward.
So right, so I guess I would say I think we're making great progress to that point, and I think we're going to continue to make great progress.
Yeah.
We're committed to
Brian and Naheed have both said to me, we gotta go forward.
that. Mhm.
And Les is a forward guy too, I know that, and John is.
Yep.
Brianna and I are a little bit older and a little bit more scathed, and we've seen more things.
I don't know about older. I don't know if
So,
I'm
you
older.
are, I apologize.
I don't know, I'm getting old,
I
I'm
wouldn't
getting
use the
old.
word jaded.
Or
old, I mean.
So,
Glenn and I have been through a lot and watched
Tenure.
a lot happen. So, we always remind each other of this, sometimes we forget that there's new people and
Yeah.
there's new things looking ahead. And we sometimes keep checking that rearview mirror because we've been burned by what's in there a bunch of times, so we keep forgetting that, so.
that's why
I
Naheed
ap-
texts me
Right.
forward
I
all the time.
applaud, I applaud both of you for coming, for talking, for wanting to get this relationship off on the right foot. You do not have an easy task. You have you have a uphill battle ahead of you, but I have no doubt that you will meet it and exceed it. And thank you for coming, and I look forward to working with
Thank
you.
you.
I'm very happy.
On that note, have a nice night.
Yep.
Oh,
thank
wait,
you.
Marcia's
Marcia.
We had talked about maybe meeting that with you and me and Casey. I'd love to do
Sure.
that. I wanna just say publicly that Casey and I work very well together, I think. I have 43 years, I hate to say that, of experience working with governments and 20 or so governments every year, all
You
have
started
a
in 7th grade, right? When
That's
you were
right,
there,
7th
junior-
grade.
junior high.
all with a Board of Education, business director in those 20 towns and finance director. And I want to publicly say that Casey is excellent.
Thank you, Marcia.
I'm going to second you on that, and I'm asking the town to have faith. I think we all need to have faith in each other, in the people we have, and things will get better, so,
And that we all have positive intent.
yes.
I use that speech a lot in my teams at work. Everybody's coming from a perspective of positive intent.
Right.
It's not always delivered
Yes.
Nobody wakes up in the morning to fail.
to do a bad job.
Right.
Yes.
I
Yes.
agree with you.
Yes.
So yes, we would love to connect more. I think that'd be a great opportunity for us. So,
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know,
Hey, Marcia.
I know, it's okay, Steve. I'm low on your priority list.
no, you are not. No, you
Yeah,
are not.
they're done.
You are very humble.
Ready?
They're done.
I need that thing, I need that, the box. Hey, Marcia, I need
Marcia,
the
Can you
box.
have the box?
The box.
I need the box.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Yes,
Thank
you too. Thank you for
having
coming.
us.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Steve. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
You can drive.
All this up. Give me a second, don't yell at me, I'm working on it. So, can people see that? Okay, so before we start getting into specific issues, let's just review the bidding. So as we left the meeting yesterday, line 18, that top line where my little cursor's dancing, that's where we stand as of yesterday with all the decisions that we made. I'm gonna make one question. Yesterday, we decided to put in half of the money for the part-time to full-time IT. The town would pay for it, so it could go to full-time on January 1st, but that was kind of what we decided. Based on discussion today, does anybody want to revisit that decision? Raise your hand, otherwise we're gonna go. No?
It's 17.5, right?
So-
So I'm just going to say one thing, and I think we all need to think about it, is that as the numbers are growing and every year our need to be closer to 3%, with your projection, your model projection, the town would have to be around 3% or 3.25, 3.5 max, right? So we just have to also see with our renegotiations also this year, which is coming up, be mindful of it, be mindful of it. The more people you add, the more the budget next year is going to be.
I mean, I think that's very valid. That said, do you want to revisit the decision?
No, we're good.
Okay, so then I think this, I don't think we're gonna go backwards on any of the decisions we made. That was the only one where we had new information.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're gonna talk about the ASSO, based on today. We haven't decided on what we wanna do about the BOE total budget yet. In here is, besides the benefits thing, is the original 250,000 reduction to the Board of Ed submission that the Board of Selectmen put in. We haven't changed that number yet. So I think at some point we'll all go around the table, maybe us last one, so that we hear from others first, as to what we want to do there. Is there any, I think those are the two. Is there any other item that people, and then then we look at the bottom line numbers and say, is it too high, is it too low? Do we want to do something at a macro level? But I don't think there's any other specific business issue that we're gonna wanna discuss unless someone wants to add one, so. Okay?
Not from me.
No.
I think all we had left was the ASSO and the.
And the contingency, we were going to talk about what you had suggested, and I really like that idea, and I think we should buffer it up even more so, because we know that that's going to be one of our challenges next year.
So I'm gonna put contingency as a separate line. That's kind of the how you, the last thing I said
Health
is
insurance
something about-
contingency, yes.
Which right now, kind of, it's inherently, the 600 was 450 and 150.
Correct.
Right, right.
But we'll talk, contingency's kind of one of the ways you can say, hey, look, the aggregate number is too high or too low, change your contingency.
Right.
Okay, yeah, you're very quiet over there, scaring me.
All right,
Do you agree? Well, nod your head or
Yes.
something. All right, good.
You guys told me to relax and calm down. When
I
I
just
relax and I
wanted-
calm down, I get
And
yelled
now
at.
it's not good enough, and now it's not good enough.
Wow!
Abnormal for us, that's abnormal.
I want to
Stepping outside
make
for
sure
2
that
minutes.
everybody in the boat.
Damn if you do.
All right.
We're in the boat, Brian, we're all with you. We're
ASSO.
sailing in the boat.
Tell me I gotta do something that I do.
So I think Glenn's view on ASSO, and I agree with him, I think of it is, we probably should put some money in here, and then we can take some time and figure out what's the most optimum way to spend the money. But there is a problem, it's gonna take some money to fix it, we don't know exactly how much, we should put some money in.
Yep.
And then we can have the right people work on the right solution, the most cost-effective
Right,
solution.
because we're not those,
You can't solve that problem in this room in the next 20 minutes.
I agree.
Right.
Anybody disagree? I'll go that way.
No.
The proposal, you wanna make a proposal?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna try not to lead too much, but my proposal.
Lead, then we'll follow.
Okay, my proposal is that the cost of a ASSO was about $114,000 for a 4-year. So my proposal was, the Bryan law, is it a law now?
It was a rule, you get it a long
Can I
time.
just-
Yeah, a theorem,
What's the average price of a police officer, period? Do we know off the top of our heads?
for new and probably one
Per year?
About the same?
Loaded, it's
No.
probably, that's
No,
loaded,
much
it's
higher.
about, it's higher?
Experience will be
Yes.
high.
We
144.
don't, ASSOs do not get paid very much, that if you look at,
Correct.
where is my,
ASSOs are more, less than,
They're less than a regular police officer.
correct,
So if we were to hire a police officer, it'd be $150,000, $120,000 a year.
160 versus
No,
114.
it depends on how many days you
Oh,
hire.
there it is,
160
160 versus 114.
correct.
Thinking a full-time police officer versus a full-time ASSO, who gets paid more money?
Police officer gets 160, SSO gets 114.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like 40-something thousand differential.
Right.
So,
Substantial.
so this number would
Pretty good
say,
job coming out of the academy.
worst case,
And the SSOs are certified.
Go ahead.
this says worst case, we hire a full-time SSO on January 1st. Hopefully, we come up with another solution that's cheaper than this number goes down, and we put the savings into the general fund. And by the way, I have a recommendation on how to pay for this once, but what do people think? Is that reasonable?
Yep.
I think it allows, I agree with you, I mean, for me, we've identified that there's a gap, we're not exactly
How big the
sure
gap is.
how big the gap
Yes,
is.
Yes.
They need to fully understand the gap, the chief, and I think, like you said.
They need to, we really don't, but
Correct.
they need to,
They need
yes.
to, but this allows for them to take the time to figure the gap out, and then
And fund it.
the chief, who's in charge of it, who knows
Right.
that, like you said, the right people in charge, work with the
With
school, work
Steve
with the
and
chief,
Steve.
work with Steve, they figure it out. But we've
Yeah.
at least earmarked something to figure out.
I'm fine with that, but I really wanna have a discussion. If we have 14 days we need to fill, or 20 days, what, do we really wanna?
You know what, in
Right,
fairness though, we didn't
Right,
have.
we
that-
have to go through
But
that
it's hard for the
conversation.
chief to explain that without, you know,
Yeah.
Right.
giving out too
Yeah.
much
But to
information.
Brian's point, what's the worst that can happen?
This
If
is the
we
worst
don't
that can
use it,
happen.
right, that's the
The worst
worst.
thing happens, we just have to spend the whole thing and hire
Right.
full-time. So let me make one more point, and I don't know if I like this or not, and Marcia might not like it. Why don't we make this a reserve? And so before they can spend it, they have to come back and we release the reserve.
In
Can you do that? No, in
Contingency, they have to come back
in
to us anyway
police,
to
a
spend
po- a
contingency.
reserve in
Yeah.
police. I wanna put this in the police.
No, so why don't we just put it in contingency? That's
Because
what
I
we
don't, we
put
can
it.
put the whole budget contingency and the town doesn't know how much we're spending.
No, these are exceptional cases. These are cases that we really don't know
No,
what
but
they're
it's a,
going with.
it's a
No, I
bulk
think on this
number.
one, Brian, I think this one, Brian, so
going to
if
be-
We have to
Marcia
separate
can
it.
do it, I think it's a legitimate.
It just
See, why
prevents,
you, it's just
Okay.
earmarking it in the police under contingency.
here's part of my problem. Our
Yeah.
contingency this year, our current budget's 400,000. We're already at 600, and we have to explain why we're going up. I don't wanna keep adding more and more stuff in contingency. It kinda
No,
says we
so
didn't do our jobs.
what-
so we're
Yeah,
shoving
but, you
stuff
know,
in contingency.
We're
Our
gonna-
goal
we're
is
gonna
always
take
a
up-
0.5% of the budget for contingency, that's $575,000.
Yeah, but we're gonna be adding
Brian's got a
60
good
more
point.
thousand, so by
Yeah.
the time Brian's saying we don't want,
Why make it visible if you don't have to?
You're
it's
saying
not
continue-
visible, it's
are you
gonna be
saying continue
visible,
to
but why,
600?
yeah.
No, so
yeah.
I'm saying you're going to.
Harder to
so
see.
I think I wanted to go back
Yeah,
to what
let's-
Glenn's idea was yesterday about the health insurance reserve. I don't know what you want to call it, health insurance stabilization fund or whatever it is. But that fund needs, so.
So
to
basically,
me-
she's saying if you called it that, and Steve's saying we put the 50,000 in there, we hit the 475 and it's 1%.
Yeah.
Right?
We
We
take
got
that
the
money-
150 in the health insurance reserve, it's not a
And we have
contingency.
450 in
In
contingency.
contingency, Steve's saying that we should be 1%, it's like 470, whatever, what
One
number?
half of 1% was the original
It's
goal we
450.
had first.
Yeah, one half of, yeah.
$90 million
Just for
450.
contingency, we don't know.
Anyway, so the point is, I just think because at the end of the day, we're going to do something, it's going to be a police thing. I think we should tell the town that there's money in the police.
I don't have a problem with that.
That's all, that's
If
all.
we can put it in the budget so it makes sense when you look at it.
But what gives us control, by making it a reserve, it prevents it from
Alright,
being
and
spent
police is
until
not
we get
going
a
up
chance
that-
to see it one more
Police is
time.
not going up that much. this
Marcia, you
year.
think we can do that?
No, they haven't.
He's doing it right now?
Just do it right now.
All right,
Okay?
I'm
I
okay
don't
with
wanna,
that, yeah.
I don't wanna railroad it,
Go
so I
ahead,
apologize.
John.
No,
Go ahead.
I'm okay with that.
John's hands
Maybe
up,
just-
like-
yeah.
This may not be pertinent, but like from what you had the conversation with the chief, like would a part-time?
We're not gonna try to solve it.
Right, no, that's what
No,
Steve's
well,
gonna come to,
well,
that's why
well,
we're doing, no, great question, but that's why we're doing, we're gonna give Steve,
Yeah.
the superintendent, and the police
Casey.
chief, a
How to
chance
fill
to
the gap.
sit down, and do we need a full-time, do we need a
Right.
part-time, or do we need just whatever we can work, that's
Right.
giving them the toolbox to have that
Alright, so
conversation.
just off that though,
Yeah.
if we're having that number and then we come to that conclusion, where does the?
It goes in the general
Okay,
fund,
alright.
or it goes back into
We're
contingency.
just verifying the
Yeah.
affordability of it and being smart
But
about it.
we're putting it
and
as a
saying-
police reserve
Yeah,
in
Right.
their
Right.
budget.
And this
Yeah.
just.
How they
makes it
figure
so
it out,
there's a-
Yeah.
we don't have enough time to figure out a plan, but we know we've identified
there's
this.
a
gonna
There's a
be
need,
something.
And it won't be more than this, because
Yes.
worst case, we hire full-time January 1st, it costs that.
Yeah.
So that's.
It might
fine.
come down to that,
And then
after
we
we have a
have to figure it
conversation, we
out.
say,
And so-
oh, whoa,
Okay.
whoa,
Hopefully.
whoa,
Right,
we do
right,
need
right,
the.
right.
Right, we're on board,
Good.
we're good, Les, I
Good,
think
good.
he's
Yeah.
on board,
All
yeah.
right, well, we don't necessarily need to do this, I would like to do this on hand. If you remember, Steve and the Board of Selectmen took 4 trucks that were removed from the capital plan, and I can show you two, in the Parks and Rec and put them back. We, in the last meeting, said, hey, maybe they could pay for 2 of those out of their fund, right?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna, geez, if I can, so I'm gonna go to, okay, well, too bad, it's really small. So if you look at the green lines, this is the request for trucks. Hold on, let me get there. Even I can't see it on my screen.
Hold on, I'm gonna get my
That's right
there you go.
So you can see it actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the Parks and Rec asked for 10 things in their building and equipment, really all equipment. We supported from a capital committee the first 2 and and some of the smaller ones, and said no to the other big ones. Steve and the board, actually Steve himself, put the 4 back in. What we left the last meeting with is, we will pay for the first 2, the 94,000 and the 76, and the 2 bottom ones come
Yeah.
out of their funds.
That's correct,
Self-sustaining.
yes.
What I would, and including the
How much-
10th priority item,
It's like
what I'd like to do is ask them to pay for number 7 and 10, 7 and 9, so the 76 and the 30, and push number 9, push this last one out, actually it's number 10, out a year. It's their 10th priority. that savings pays for the ASSO. So I'd rather pay for safety than the 10th most important truck in the building improvement.
That I love.
Steve is
See,
okay
Brian
with
and I
that.
talked about this, I'm
I
comfortable with
like
that.
Yes, yes, we can wait another year. No,
For the-
it's,
for the
She's
10th.
clapping for you.
listen,
Does
it
that
was-
Let's get the wave going.
It's, at the end of the day, within that same money, can we move things around and prioritize and reprioritize, right?
The
I don't
only
get claps.
consideration
Does that
is,
make our job
tougher next year though?
the only consideration
Does
is,
that make our job
we
tougher
pulled
next
stuff
year?
in from future years
On the margin,
to
yeah, sure.
smooth out.
We're
If we start
cognizant,
pushing
but,
stuff
yeah,
back-
but we've been very cognizant
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that. So I mean, yeah,
Well, I
sure.
think-
I'm not,
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
right on the head.
yeah, you're right, but I think as a group, we've been pretty cognizant of that.
If
We-
I had a lot of concern about this, I would have told Brian, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, no,
I
you're
think
right,
we
you
can-
gotta be cognizant, absolutely, but I think as a group, we have been
Right.
No, we can't do
cognizant of what we
everything,
pull
we
and
have to-
push.
We have to
I
pick
do
and
believe
choose.
that.
Yes.
No, but good
I
point.
think that, I don't know if they probably know where it's at, but if they didn't know and they heard they got 9 out of their 10 priority items and they get the last one, they'd be like,
They've never
Yeah,
gotten
they've
that.
never
They've-
gotten
They've
that.
never,
And I think-
ever
I think
gotten
this
that.
It's
year-
Park and Rec, right? Yeah.
A lot of capital requests, you know, we've taken care of a lot of it, so I think everybody in the town probably, I think we're
Yeah.
good, we're in a good place.
okay.
But as history, Parks and Rec, the last couple of years has really been cut.
They're
They
under,
haven't. I
we're
just said
underinvested, we're
Really
catching
good.
up, we're
Yeah.
catching
And
up.
I just said, when was a year that we
Absolutely.
ever funded 9 out
But
of
we
10
gave
of their
them
requests?
3, we helped them
No,
get
no,
the
no,
3.
no.
I mean, I get it, they use some of their outside funds,
Right, but still,
but they're getting something,
they're getting, they had 2 already in, they're getting 3, so they're getting 5
Yeah.
bigger.
I'll also say, Steve, is I'm very impressed with her, the director, and I think she's
Yes.
got a great attitude.
She
So I think
absolutely has a great attitude.
we
You
can figure this
see
out
her
together. We can figure
absolutely
this out
growing into
together.
this job.
And that's what I think Naheed has been preaching.
Yep.
We can grow with her, we can work with her. I think
Yep.
She's
she
come
shouldn't
a
have
long-
a, she
she's
shouldn't
come a
have a
long way
fear of
since.
getting cut to the point where she's
No.
gonna, I think it would be
Yeah.
growth.
Yep.
Brian's, and our capital committee's been watching all these things, and that's
Right.
helped us do this. The 3 here
Yeah, you
really
know,
helped us.
I remember having a conversation with her, I said, when you go before the capital committee, you have to sell them on your need. Not sell, but really
Yeah,
explain what is needed and why.
She's come a
What
long way
and
since
why
the
is
first
And she's
time.
done a really good job
She's
at
done
that.
amazing.
So that's what I'm saying, don't let her have a fear, we'll get
No.
to it. Brian's team will get to it, we just,
Next year, right?
I'm sure she
Hopefully
does.
things-
Yeah.
And look, we have a tough capital plan for next year, this adds 76,000 more of a problem to it, but that's okay, I think from the capital perspective, it's in the running we gotta do,
I
yeah.
agree.
Okay.
Okay, so, I think those are all the line itemy things, so now I think we start talking about the VOE budget, and again, my recommendation is that the 2 of us go last. So, amongst the 4 of you guys, so again, what's on this
I'm going
number,
third to
and
last.
just to show you, what's on this number again is the Board of Education's 4.86 budget. We took out 310,000 because that's the actual amount that all the benefits, we got the real numbers. It's the $250,000 out for the Board of Selectmen cut. We have not taken any more out, we haven't added any more back. The superintendent wanted us to add the whole thing back, right? So, you wanna go for
No.
So I'd like to get your guys' opinion on
I
where
wanna
do you
hear other
think we
people's
should come
opinions.
out at the board?
Okay, I can go, and I think, of course, the town has always had this contingency, and we've kind of worked with Board of Ed in the past for special needs. Last year, they went on their own. This year, they're going to try something really new. There's a risk, it's a $500,000 risk. My position is that we help them with that risk by putting in what Steve took out as a reserve in their budget.
We can't tell them what to do with the budget.
No, I'm just saying, so as Board of Finance, the $250,000 that we took out,
Put it back.
put it back, and put it at, and we say that this is good faith from our side as a reserve for the risk that you're gonna take for the town, because in-house special need is, and it's the need of the hour, and we have to go on that road and take some risks, and it's not just their risk, it's the town's risk, and we as the board support them in it.
So, look, I
you said
get
you're
what
gonna go
you're
last.
saying.
You're gonna go last.
No, I'm not gonna say, I'm just gonna clarify. When you use the word reserve, you're using it as a conceptually,
Well,
it's not an
well-
official reserve because we cannot tell them what to do with the money.
Right, right, so it's good faith.
It's good
between-
faith.
It's good faith,
Okay, that's-
and we frame it like
We
this.
hope you don't need it.
We frame it
That's what
like
you're
this,
saying.
and we say that we know that your budget, you know, you did, this is a whole new proposal that you have, and you're going in and doing something that is brand new, never done, risky. We want to support you and be, you know, 50% stakeholder there.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents, yeah.
Okay. Who next?
With the 250 grand that you took out from where?
From their overall budget.
Bottom
We-
line.
We can't,
Just bu-
line
Just the
item.
bottom line, it was
Yes.
just,
Oh,
The
hey,
only
by the
thing
way,
you can
before, I'm sorry, right, keep thinking what you're gonna say, but I just wanna show one, because every time I would say something, I wanna show what the implications are.
Les, that's the only
So
way you can do
If we put in
it.
250,
Just so that you
no
know.
other change.
It's
All
just
right.
a monetary,
Yes,
again,
yes.
getting back to what I was
Thank
saying, I
you.
thought you
Correct.
pulled it from a specific
No.
line.
No,
You
you can't
can't.
do that.
you just say, I'm taking 250
You
off,
gotta find it
that's
somewhere
it,
within your budget.
and that's how you do it.
Yeah.
So no other change, if we put 250 back, the school budget is growing 4.3% and the mill rate is 3.8, just so people know the numbers.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Yes.
sorry, Les, back to you. Do you have it?
I would, I'd put in half of that 250. Is that gonna change anything?
Yeah, but
once
what's,
every-
help us with your logic.
I see Nahid's idea of a good faith on our part in that, you know, Steve is new, he's got a long row ahead of him to hoe, and I want him to know that we support him, but at the same time, that 4.8%, well, it would be more than that, right, with the
Now
two.
put your number in, so the school go to 4.08%.
Oh, wait.
And what was the 250? Just drop it
250
back
would be-
in there?
Sure.
4.3.
4.3. And then the mill rate is 3.8 at 250, and at 125, it is 3.66. So you're kind of saying,
Yeah.
you agree with Nahid's logic, but from an affordability perspective, half
Exactly,
feels better to you.
that's the key word, since we don't really have any say on what they do with it, from an affordability standpoint, at least this lets me have conversations with my neighbors that I felt that was more affordable than the original.
Okay, good.
And I thought the 250 was good,
Yeah.
but I
I'll
understand.
just be honest, I know you guys, this is your decision. I think what Steve brought forward for the pre-K and for bringing students in was a really good idea, especially if you look down the road where he believes they can save, we're talking about affordability, 3-4 years, $1 million, $1.5 million, maybe more. This is an investment I think the board should make, and I agree with Nahid. It may fail. We may have a $500,000 gap. We may need to skinny it out. People are gonna disagree, but I think, you know what? This is one hell of a smart guy. He has done this before in his previous school district. He knows how to do it. And this is the first time I've ever seen where the Board of Ed came to us and said, hey, if I make this investment, I can save money long-term. So I know it's your decision.
Well, so I wrote you down for 250, you don't get a vote, so
Yeah, right.
I still wrote you down. Okay, you're
John.
next.
Or I can
Wait.
go if you still wanna, it's your call, whatever, if you're
I'm
still thinking.
thinking a little bit, wait, but he took out the 250.
You said put it back.
Oh.
So the point is, after they took it out, but then after that, Steve came on board, said, I've got a great use to do all these new investments, I want the 250 back.
It was-
Steve says it's.
It was after we finished our budget, he came
Yeah,
forward.
yeah,
with it.
afterwards, and you.
Oh, and that's, so, oh,
So
I.
it's new information, that's why
When-
Steve
when-
Dunn is
Right, new
supporting
information.
it.
I don't like my
okay.
feeling on the license plate
This
readers.
is where we are now.
Right.
So
I
why
felt
don't
one
you
way
have
until
the
I
same
read
thing?
what he,
Okay.
When Steve
Yeah.
made the
Do you want me to
decision,
go
he
while
was-
you still
Yes.
think?
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine.
cause that is
I'm-
new to me.
So, I am of not adding anything back,
So you're,
leaving it as is.
okay,
Let's
what's the
do it.
logic?
My logic is,
No.
starting with the affordability of it, is
Can we have
that
one conversation, please, since this is a bigger.
this was kind of important, but go ahead.
We're
No, go
talking
ahead,
about-
you
Okay,
guys
go,
finish.
we'll wait for you
No,
guys.
Les wants a cup of
I was
coffee.
talking about the Keurig machine, but go ahead.
Okay.
I love honesty. Okay, go ahead. It's okay. Brianna said that she doesn't think we should put anything back, which is much different than the last three, that's why I wanted to make sure everyone listens to it.
Okay,
Solely because, all you hear about is affordability and everything's getting really tight and things are getting tough. And, you know, my concern is we restore the 250 or we restore the 125 and then, next year comes and things don't look good, we're gonna have to back down. I would almost say, let's see what we can get done with this, the 250 cut and the 310. I know that every time something has happened, they have always managed to pull it out. They have always managed to find the funds. They have, you know, every time we've had, you know, a budget's gotten returned or something has happened. I'm concerned about the future, so if I look at it slowly creeping up versus largely creeping up, I'm just looking at the slow creep up. And that I think that keeping it at this level identifies and allows them to, A, figure out where we can consolidate, where we can get better, all those things. B, we're talking about potentially getting an IT person in their budget next year, getting an ASSO in their budget next year, doing all these things that they might end up taking on, so that budget's gonna grow. I just feel like we should hold it here, and that's the affordability in my head.
So would you keep it with the town? Hold it as a contingency with the town to support, or did you?
The 250?
Yeah.
No,
No.
there's no contingency,
So-
there's no holding on that
So
310
you're
and
not
250.
So,
I'm not supporting putting
The
anything
numbers
in
as they are on the
contingency and giving anything back. I am, as you said, net zero, plug
Okay.
zero.
You wanna go next?
Oh,
I'll go ahead.
Oh, wait, John, John,
I can go.
Okay.
John,
You guys want to go last?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So, that's how I was leaning too, to not add anything back, and I think that's just how I feel, because I think that will maybe spur them on to go line by line and dig in and find, you know, find the things to do that need to be done. And like you said, if in the past they've managed to find it, I would be in favor of not adding anything back.
and I feel like if anybody can do it, it's that guy.
Yeah.
That's just my thing. But,
Thank you.
Leslie?
All right. I've studied this a lot, believe it or not. It is not one initiative he's bringing into that $270, $250,000, $270,000. There are 5 or 6 different standalone initiatives. So these aren't this complete investment. All the pieces aren't needed to drive the whole mechanism forward. You could do standalones. 30,000 was recruitment. 100,000 was evaluation software. 80,000 was an occupational therapist. So there's all these pieces. It isn't a standalone. The pre-K is a standalone too.
It's not an all or nothing.
Yeah, it's not an all or nothing. And I'm maybe crossing the line, and I'm doing it in the best interest of everybody, so I'm gonna say what I have to say is, if we gave him 0 right now, and Brian will differ on this, but he puts in his special ed initiative, and he succeeds on his special ed initiative without any dollars, because they can do it without any dollars, is he can move them around, then his savings pays for all his initiatives. If he achieves his savings, it pays for all his initiatives year 2. Year 3, he's paying for everything, and it just feeds. So if he can implement the plan, which he thinks he can implement, in year 1,
but the first year is negative, isn't it?
Well, let him just talk.
no, it's negative because of the 5 standalones. If you take out this, because you're paying for 100,000 in a study, you're paying for 30,000 for recruitment, you're paying, that's what I looked at. If you take it and you say just utilize, because I think his utilization, his cost is 5, and I don't have the numbers, and I
Sorry, we don't need to.
but his cost is less, I believe. It's negative because of all the add-ons. It's positive if you strip away all of the auxiliaries that are
Just
not.
the Cubs thing is, if it's successful, is a net reduction in spend. The cost of the program is less than the saving, is lessen the savings of bringing the 3 kids.
Right, so
That
then
one thing.
he can, and in year 2, it grows substantially. So if he succeeds year 1, year 2, it grows substantially. And now he has his money where we're clapping and giving him a standing ovation and saying, let's get all your initiatives in there. So I don't think it was presented to us that these are standalones. He doesn't need 30,000 of that. That's for recruitment and getting teachers. Is it a valid program? We can have that debate, and we shouldn't have that, but it can stand alone. It is not needed as a critical item. The $100,000 of evaluation.
Have they said that they don't need, so,
Well, look at them, if you look at them at each, they don't connect, and Brian's looked at it too. If
I've
some-
had multiple meetings with them, so what's the question?
Do they connect or not
when
connect?
when you're stripping away and saying this they can do and this we don't need to do this year, have you had a conversation where they can do this part and not do the other part?
Yeah, Steve is correct, Steve Glenn is correct, that the initiatives are somewhat standalone. He has a strategy, and they're consistent within his strategy, but if you just wanna do the special ed Cubs line, which is the one that gets the savings,
Right.
you don't have to do any of the others, you can still do Cubs.
Okay.
So this is where my mindset is, because they're standalone and because it's a risk on the town. Let's get through year 1, which he doesn't need any money to do. I mean, it should be standalone. Let's get through year 1, let him achieve his savings. And then if he's achieving his savings, and like Steve says, this initiative grows, now we're standing on year 2, proven theory. It may not produce the savings he's looking for, but we could see, you know what, it didn't produce it this year, but we do see the value. We can extrapolate that out, and we can see it. Now at the risk of us to say, put in these programs, we can invest in these programs. Now, I can't tell you to spend your money, but we can go above what you need to spend this money. We can input it, and we feel good about it because we know you succeeded, or half succeeded, or 3, whatever the percentage. We all know what's succeeding. We know numbers, and that takes the risk away from us. It reduces the budget. It meets the 0. Now Brian has a little bit different,
Yeah,
but his take is I see that, and that sort of bothered me a little that you weren't told it wasn't all stand. This is like an initiative. They're
I think
standalones.
we didn't have a conversation today. I was just thinking about it. We should have had a deeper conversation today because they came in for that.
Right.
You had meetings, but we hadn't,
Yeah, but
I
just
wasn't
usually
aware
it
of
doesn't
these
happen. I just said the numbers are right,
when
but yeah.
but
I know you
I
had
wasn't
questions.
aware
Okay,
of
and
those
shame on
things.
us.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
take
yeah.
that too.
Yeah, no, it's
But
okay.
when I read this through on my own, I noticed this, and I
Right,
put
right.
forth, and I sent
Right,
Brian
if
the
you read- if you
schedule.
No, I
read
think
it,
today was a
you can tell
meeting
they're
with
very
them to
They're very
get the,
different.
for us all to get a better picture. Today was a meeting and I think kind of we rushed through that.
If
part.
you read,
That's
and
okay.
the packet
Okay.
that he provided, it is clear that they're all very different initiatives with different
Yeah,
like
but
line
I'm gonna
items.
be honest with you, the
I'm
reason I
not-
didn't is not because I knew it, is because we were briefed on it, and after all this, you guys don't tell us what to do. I didn't want us to start having discussions of we agree to support that one and not that one and that one, that's.
Can't.
I think that's
kinda
not
can't,
our
so-
purview.
So
Well,
that's
we
why I
know
didn't
that.
wanna go there
Yeah,
after.
yeah,
No, no,
yeah.
but-
Yeah.
but this is what I'm trying to say is it's not the whole package. So when you're worried about putting the 250,
Right.
that's,
So, from where I'm coming from, I wasn't aware that they could work separately, and the.
Hold on a second, I didn't give my,
Yeah.
you've already.
Yeah, go ahead, go
But
ahead.
it's-
Go ahead.
I'm done.
But I just had one question about what he
Yeah, go
said.
ahead, yeah.
If if he implements this with $0 like we're talking about, and you're talking about, because and a savings occurs, we're, again, it's not in our purview to say he could take the savings, if there is any, and implement another small line item.
Yeah, the
Yes.
savings is maybe net $60,000.
But
So he
then
could
we-
have done a recruitment if he
Right.
wanted to,
But
if that,
then,
he could do
right,
anything.
but then what I'm saying is we can go beyond that in the support. Is what I'm saying is
I
if he
understand.
proves
Okay.
year
I
1
got you.
and he uses, say he saves 100,000 and he needs 200,000. If you prove year 1 and you make that savings and you meet your goals, it's easier for us to say, we saw it. We've
Yes.
seen your execution, your plan, you executed. So if you need $100,000 more for investment, we can't tell you how to spend it. You've proven year 1, what you said is what you did, and now the risk is off the town side, the risk is off everybody, and it's easier to say, okay, you need whatever, 150 more thousand, for an investment, we see your savings, and he could say, I think I'm gonna get $400,000 worth of it. We don't have to worry about the risk, because we've already seen it, so our risk is limited.
Right, and that would offset the percentage then.
Well, remember, he has to save 250,000 first of all, so
Right.
maybe that 60 he saves on that just goes to help him
Yeah,
cover
yeah.
the 250.
He
Right.
still
It
has
doesn't mean he
250,000 to
automatically has
worry
to
about.
invest more.
Yeah.
Understand,
Right?
okay,
If
thank
you
you. Yep, got it.
And if they don't save the 250, there's a hole
Right.
already.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Your
go.
floor to
Your floor.
finish, finish,
Yeah.
take us home.
Last instead of first this time. So, I'm kind of in between everybody a little bit. So I agree with the comment, and after working with Steve, and I'm gonna call him Steven so we don't get confused with Steve, that he's got a very thoughtful thing he wants to do here, and it's pretty compelling, and he is a person that I'm confident can execute. And everything that's happened lately with the schools and the Board of Ed and all that, I think us supporting him and them would be good. So I am in the camp of I wanna support what they wanna do. So that's the first step. I'm kind of agreeing with Glenn that, being new, this is a lot of initiatives to try to get done in the first year. And, the odds of being able to manage all that kind of stuff is higher risk if you're trying to do 6 new things instead of less new things, right? So now my thought is, okay, if, and I've talked to him more than you guys have, right? But, you know, I think as he looks, and he's talking about doing structural things, I don't know what they are. Not my
We don't need to
purview.
know, right?
No. Yeah.
Right, but he's talking about doing structural things to, you know, to find these $250,000 savings and deliver a better result, right? So it's not just, you know, so it's, he's looking at, okay, now that this is my school district, this is what I wanna do, it's gonna create structural savings.
Yep, yep.
And, you know, he's feeling it, and it's been 3 weeks, that saving this 250, you know, I think he's feeling okay about it. And as I've looked at it, I think as many of you look at it, there are areas you can point to their budget and say, there are areas you should be able to work and save money. So I think he can save the 250, maybe more. If he executes the Cubs thing, he's got a little bit to invest, you know, as you were saying, Brianna. But I don't think it's necessarily enough for all the things he could. I think we're gonna give him a little bit of a slow start. I think he could do more than if we didn't give him anything. So my take is, and now I'm gonna be a little bit of the finance geek that you know I am. My answer is to give him 70,000, and I'll tell you why. So it's that the absolute amount is a little bit arbitrary. You know, it could be 50, it could be 80, whatever. But what 70 does is makes the school budget 3.98%, so it's under 4%. If our town is supposed to spend under 4, it keeps them under 4, and it keeps the mill rate at 3.59, which is down 10 basis points from last year. So we can go to the town and say, this will be the second or third year in a row where our mill rate has gone down. If we give them more than that, much more than that, then the mill rate's kind of flat year to year, even though our debt's going down and our grand list is going up, and I don't think that's right for our residents to have that mill rate go up with all that stuff going on. So I'm a big fan of the mill rate going down, at least marginally, trying to stay on a glide path of continuing to have us be more affordable to the town. I do wanna support them, but I don't really wanna get much over 4% in the school budget. I don't wanna get over 4% in the school budget if we can help it, and I think 70,000 gives Steve a chance at executing more than just the one program and getting a faster start to what he wants to do for this town than if we gave him 0.
Seed money.
Seed money.
Yeah, it's just yeah, right, more of a quicker start, but yes. So that's my number, 70,000. So, you know, again, I originally said 49 for different
Right,
reasons.
right.
70
So-
just makes the numbers work really
What's
good.
100 do to that,
100?
yeah, what's,
Yeah. And
See, I'm gonna go the opposite way
No,
now,
no,
so
look, let's
go
look at
ahead.
all them. So
alright, never
what-
mind,
No, we
never
just
mind.
talked-
No, no, never
I'm gonna
mind.
do Glenn's
Never
number
mind.
next. So
No, let's do all things.
So
Let's
there
do
you
all-
But I like where you're going, Brian, with keeping it under 4%.
Put your 70 back up.
right, so
No,
100
no,
puts it
Les,
over
I
4.
apologize, I
Alright.
should
Well,
have
who's
done
next?
that, Les, I apologize.
So let's answer Les' question. 100's over 4% for the
Right.
school and 363. This year was 368, right? The
Mhm.
tax increase in the current budget's 368. 368 to 363 is down, but it's.
It's not
So,
down.
Okay.
you're gonna laugh at mine splitting the baby,
What
so.
do you say?
Well, Naheed was 250, Les was 125. You're arbitrary 70, right? You're an arbitrary 70.
It might make some.
Okay.
So-
Yeah.
John and Brianna were
Zero.
0.
So,
Which I didn't even know.
No, no, no.
by the way.
Can I ask
So,
one more question?
Glenn's
Maybe
$2.
this-
it's
Okay.
$62,500 as you wanna know the number, but go ahead and ask your question. We split the 125 and we move forward in good faith, but go ahead.
Okay, so I was gonna say, and Brian, this is a question for
Yeah.
capital
Yeah, I
committee.
needed milk for my coffee.
Just like above, when we were trying to figure out the
Don't worry
ASSO, you identified something that could go to next year.
Right.
So this year we have funded capital really nicely. And is there something there that will go to next year? So, and I like that you're thinking of seed money, and I know that the 250,000 is reachable, it's reachable, we all agree. I think we've all seen that there are places where he's going to be able to find that money. But starting a new program, a new initiative is not an easy thing, so
Charlie, is your question, is there anything else we should look at for capital?
from
So-
capital that we can bring here, so our
Well-
numbers don't go up, affordability stays, but our prioritization is changing,
No, you can answer it, but
yeah.
What was the
I
mill rate with the
really
62?
don't wanna go there, cause Steve sat at the end of the table, so we can't kick more things down the road either.
That's right, there's a
If we give them some, you're forgetting too, we've taken on the ASSO, we've taken on the IT as well.
So
So
in
that's in
terms
our
of-
risk bucket, cause they
Agreed.
might not come back to us next year and have that. So
Agreed.
on top of this dollar amount, we've already said we're gonna give you 114,000 on the ASO, we're gonna cover your 20,000, so we're 150,000 in already on an
You know,
extra right now.
So the ASSO was not part of their, so we have to agree to, at this point, after hearing them and whatever, that this was not a conversation that had clear communication in
It's a
there.
message
I
sense,
didn't,
we're
I'm
solving
not
a
putting on,
problem.
no.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I'm just
This
saying-
isn't a pick on,
No, no,
but
no,
it's a
no, no,
reality of an
so-
investment.
Okay, I'm just going to have, just lay out these couple of thoughts, okay? So I think the town, of course, has multiple needs. We're trying to do our best for every department, for every capital project, everything. To me, our biggest and most challenging piece that I've learned in the last 2 years is special needs. And that continues to stay with us if we don't help figure that out, right? And he has a plan, he seems very strong and competent, and this is a time that we can support with not just verbally, but with money, and and give him that runway that helps him get this off the ground with success, or we prioritize something else and then have that same challenge next year and the year after and the year after. So for a risk, we're all doing business, we
Heard you
all
loud
know.
and clear. The 62.5 does that, cause in my model, if they did his model first, we could have taken another 61,000 out of their budget.
Yeah, as
On
long-
top of
right,
that.
as long as-
So
yeah.
if he worked his initiatives, the model I showed Brian is year one, we could have taken the 250 that Steve took out, taken another $61,000 out of their budget, and he could meet everything and still make a savings. So with leaving it at the 250 and putting back in the 62.5 really gives him the 125 in the big picture of seed money. Because he had those 61 extra on the standalone, when I did all the math, we could have taken 61,000 out and he could have ran the business. You know, Brian wanted to put back, you know, other things he was looking at, but whatever. So he really does have, when we put 62.5, and he has $125,000 of seed money, which sits where less is done.
He still has a 250, which we
Right.
are confident, but nobody's sure at this moment that 250 is reachable, or is, whatever, retrievable,
If
so
he
to
finds
speak.
He's only gotta
250
find
savings-
190 now.
No,
We gave him back 62, he's
But-
gotta find 190.
but then we're not supporting him for this new program that is going to change the fate of our town.
We are supporting
No,
it.
no,
Yeah,
you
we're
guys are
we're
saying
still
the same thing.
supporting it.
If he finds that 250 savings, he has 120 to invest.
Right.
That's what we're saying.
But if he
If he
doesn't
doesn't,
find,
then he'll still.
what if he
It's a
doesn't find?
$55 million budget,
Right.
we all know that.
If he
I
doesn't,
mean,
then-
I'm not trying to be, but at
We
55
gotta have
million.
faith.
All right, I'll put it this way, all of us sitting at this table are all in business.
Right.
If we had a true initiative that was gonna drive us to success in a $55 million budget, you don't think you'd find $200,000 somewhere in that budget? I know you would. If this was a true initiative
No, I think
in
we all
your
agree.
business world,
We all agree.
No.
I have a lot of
There's-
confidence in talking with him.
Yeah,
and
I
don't
think
have
we all agree.
specifics, but I have a lot of
They're going
confidence
to be able to
that
find
he has
it.
ideas that'll get him around.
I'm
Brian's
just
thought
trying to give them
process,
some
and I
cushion.
think everybody's thought process, put back some money, and Brian's arbitrary 70, mine's 62, splitting the baby, you know, type of thing is, this is an olive branch, so hey, we think you can find it, but we're willing to give you a little bit to show that, hey, we're believing in you.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
I
That
would be
doesn't
happier if
mean-
the cushion was a little bit more, but if everybody agrees this is the number.
Well, I
then
said,
that's
whatever,
fine.
I said, I mean.
You said
70,
70, that's
yeah.
why, I split unless it's 125.
I mean, I mean,
Just
70
split
gets
the
really close to
125 and
390, it's a
250.
round number.
I know, we should have split the one twenty-five and the two.
We're not splitting the two
They won't get me
fifty.
to vote.
Then you're, yeah, and then you're
Yeah.
forgetting
You're gonna
about
lose 3 of us
Yeah.
there.
It's, wait, so I'm constraining it by I don't want the Board of Ed's budget to be over 4%.
Yeah,
And I think there's 4 at least people that kind of in that camp. I don't know, less,
I
5
agree.
people. You're
Okay.
not, okay? That's
Just
why it's
from a-
limited.
How it affects the mill rate, that's,
yeah.
Yeah.
and that's the affordability.
No, I
This
think,
is-
I
this is
think,
how tight it
I'm
is.
also, I think all of us are saying the
399.
same thing, we need to
There you
get a
go.
4%, but
There's the max. If you want to give them 75, it's
399.
399. That's, it
Yeah, I
can't be
can't
any
be
higher
on
than
board
that.
with that,
No, no,
just
I'm
can't.
just,
No, I hear you.
so look, if we all agree it can't be
come
under 5.
on,
Hold
we're
on.
taking out money for a lot of things, this is also something that,
Well, first, hold on.
it's
You've also got the town at 5.78 right here. Even if you take out the ASSO, sauce for the goose, sauce
Hold
for
on,
the
let's-
gander.
we'll come back
Yeah.
to that.
Steve, you're gonna get hit, and that you.
No, and we do have to get to that point, right? We do have to think about that.
I really believe that, again, I strongly believe that any one of us in our business world in a $55 million budget, if you had an initiative that was gonna save your company and meet your biggest need, you would find a way to find
Yes,
that
but-
money.
Hold on, I just want to re-level the playing field, just so everyone's in sync.
Yeah,
I think everybody agrees we're gonna give them back something. The number's gonna be above 0. I think everybody.
Well, not everybody.
Not
No,
everybody.
no, at
We have
this
2
point.
still that we gotta convince.
Okay, no, but, well, you said 62.5, so.
That doesn't mean they agree.
Okay, hold on, so what, do you agree that we'd give back something?
I'm
You can
still-
say no.
Not right now, but
Okay.
I'm listening to what
Does-
everybody has to
does
say
any-
and I'm
does
taking it
everybody
in
agree
and I'm
that we would not
digesting
give
it.
them more than 75,000? Because that puts
I'm
us on
not
the
giving
4%.
more than 70, that's
Does
a
anybody
hard
Alright,
no.
so
disagree
we,
with
I won't-
we
That is a
kinda have
hard
to,
no.
yeah.
Okay, so
right,
now we
right.
just.
If you're
now
gonna
we
get me to
bookend
meet
it.
anywhere, the lowest one right now is 62.5, you won't get me
62.5
above
is
62.5 at this point.
Okay, well, I'm
Maybe
just,
you'll
I'm
get me
just
to
booking.
70,
Maybe,
but-
I'm just booking, so now we're not talking 251.5, we're talking about between 0 and 75. Okay, now go ahead, go get it.
No, that's- no, guys, we don't,
No, it's healthy, so don't get
Yeah,
upset.
No, 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 listen,
Hey,
listen.
Don't get.
no, what I'm trying to say here is that our goal is to come to a middle ground where we all vote yes. Has been our way of doing things,
Mhm.
and that's where we're trying to go.
100%.
We're just trying to lay out our perspectives and everybody.
That's why I'm listening
yes.
to what everybody
Our
has to say.
perspectives
Yes.
may be.
Because I know I'm the farthest that needs to come to meet you guys, so that's why I'm just
Yeah.
being quiet and digesting
We
everything
all-
that everybody
Yes,
has to
and
say.
I don't have to be, we don't have to be at the other end of the table.
Right.
We just have to
I'm
find.
just listening.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just have to
I
find,
just wanna
so
hear
when I
everybody.
asked for the capital too, I think my intention here is, we know affordability is key, like Steve said, 5.78 for the town, so there's a lot that we can do on both sides, and we have done as a board, we have done our best for the town in this budget season. We've gotten the highway person, we were looking at the IT, so we've taken some good decisions. This is where I thought it would be a perfect ending to the
So,
whole
can
thing.
I'm gonna come back on capital after we decide this,
Yeah.
okay, so I haven't lost it.
Okay.
But I
okay.
think I don't think the school decision is overly reliant on what I don't think we have to sell the capital before we decide the school necessarily, if you
No,
think it's
no,
different.
no, I was just thinking overall 3.59, if we take some money from here to here, it's just different buckets, it's,
But then we're delaying some maintenance, and that might
Well,
create
let's go
ourselves
through
a
it.
problem down the road.
I don't think there is opportunity, but I'll
Right.
show it to you.
But-
We'll have
but
to decide.
I think, give me just 2 more seconds.
please, take your time.
I think we all have agreed that we want the superintendent to succeed.
yes.
Correct.
question.
Yes.
All of us
Yes.
have agreed
No question.
it's a fresh relationship. I
Correct.
think all of us can agree that Caroline and Steve have the mentality that we really want to think.
Absolutely.
I think even with the 62.5, we show a good faith of Olive Branch. And I think if we can communicate, like we're talking about, Brian and you and everybody helps them out,
next year, even though it's a harder budget, we can look at these options. And we can maybe work with the capital, maybe do more of what you're saying, switching. But let's get a year under our belt. Let's show this, we all want it to succeed. You're absolutely right. It's a core problem. We want the core problem to be solved, not Band-Aided, right? We can all agree to that.
Yep.
But let's throw this olive branch, something that we can sell to the town. I think they left here feeling supported. I don't think they left here feeling like they're gonna get crucified and everything else. And I think this evolves. And maybe next year when we're sitting at this table, like I said earlier, and he meets his initiatives and he does something, now you come up and say, you know what? He has this initiative, and you look at Brian and say, we need another $70,000 to make this initiative. I think then all of us follow you.
I'm completely with you. The only one last thing, and I'm gonna rest my case, is that time. Every year that goes by, special needs is going up crazy. And your budget every year, we already are facing it, we'll face it more and more. So to me, if we can,
Yeah, but he just
Okay.
one thing, the special ed initiative, they're going to do it with these numbers.
Yes.
They're going to do it.
This is the
the
30,000.
seed money is
Right.
what
Yeah.
helps
Because
This
them.
is-
It helps them.
they're counting on saving more than it costs, so we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
give them zero, they're still gonna do that initiative.
Yes, they're,
Okay, so that
we're
one's okay,
just
and I
supporting
completely
them.
agree, we've gotta get special ed fixed for the students, for the budget.
Right.
He's focused on it, he's done it before, I think, he knows what he's gonna do, he's gonna go do it, so I think we're moving forward on
Right.
that.
I actually, when you say that, I'm with Brian. I think they're covering that part of it. What we're not covering is one of the initiatives maybe of the 30,000 that they were gonna pay teachers that tell them they're gonna retire. So they were gonna give each teacher $3,000 if they said, I'm gonna retire. But these are things that can wait a year that we can build in. With
Yeah.
success, when we can build in with the trust, the communications, these become easier.
I gotta confess to one other thing. So,
A confession.
well, they were gonna talk about it, I said, stop, don't talk about it now. So the school got like $120,000 DRIP grant, and I don't know a ton about it, but I just heard because I was there. But I think it's to work on refurbishment things for the school. So I suggested to them that in their list of priorities, there was something for like vaping in the bathrooms and all that kind of stuff, that could probably be funded by that grant, or honestly by the bathroom thing. So the number that he asked for, there's another way to solve, so there's more ways to solve than just us giving them money.
I'm
right?
good.
So-
They also,
I'm good.
they
Thank you,
also-
everybody, for indulging me.
They also-
I think we had a good discussion.
No,
I think
Okay,
we
though,
had a
we
good-
want you to be okay.
Yes,
So
yes, absolutely.
just to,
Yeah.
last night at their BOE meeting, they voted down bidding on a new attorney firm to see if there were any cheaper options out there. They voted against it to stay at a rate. Now, I would say that this is great, whatever we fund them with their seed money, maybe it pushes that discussion to come back up again and go, hey, let's go revisit, can our attorneys give us a break? Because now we're gonna try to figure all these things
I
out.
agree.
But
I agree.
on that,
Enforce and
The whole
have to.
story, they just went out to bid a year ago for attorneys,
Okay.
right? Asking them to go back and say, attorneys, hey, can you help us out with this thing? But we typically in the town, and typically in the Board of Ed, we go out for bid for these services every 5 years. If you start going out every year,
I get it.
Yeah, I get it, but I'm gonna disagree. When you're bleeding, you gotta do what it takes. They're bleeding. They're spending, they spend how much on legal?
But I'm just
We're-
saying,
we're- if you got-
We're getting
No,
ready.
no, no,
let's
no,
come out of it, let's
No,
come out of it.
I'm just talking,
Is
no.
62,500 the number now? Do we
I
want
don't
to?
know, we haven't
No, we haven't
come to
figured it out.
closure. I mean, do we wanna go
I
around the
think they
table on
should
that
look at it
number
and
again?
see where they have their biggest legal. Like when I first came here,
No, Steve,
No,
we're off the
we're done,
legal
we're off the
thing.
legal.
Yeah, no,
We're
no,
done.
but when I-
No,
We're done.
this
We're
is
done.
our
We're
meeting.
story.
We're off the legal thing.
I
done.
stopped. I
this
stopped.
is-
I stopped. I knew better. I stopped.
I've got
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Brian's
control
running
this
the
meeting.
Ryan,
meeting
I
now.
stopped.
No, I'm stopping him.
Brian's running the
Check your
meeting.
text tomorrow.
Or like,
I stopped.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I'm probably
Gonna go around the
getting a
table
nasty gram
again.
tomorrow. I'm getting a nasty
The
gram
bid is
tomorrow. That's what-
62.5.
I'm up next.
I agree with 625. I also want to say that at the beginning of this meeting and throughout all the meetings that we've had, particularly with
One conversation.
I can't get the screen back.
One conversation.
It will.
Les, go ahead.
particularly with Board of Ed, I personally am going to get involved in their meetings monthly or whatever, and I think it's important that one of us be
Eileen
at-
used to be able to go all the time,
and then-
yes.
conversely, somebody from the Board of Ed.
Caroline's coming, she's already
She
said she
said
would
that,
come.
but, you know, there's gonna be issues where she can't, for what it is, there's gotta be an alternate. I think that's gonna go miles as far as the communication is concerned. Plus, it's gonna let us know, come September, October this year, are these things working? We'll be able to sense whether or not he's having the success we want him to have.
Agreed.
And we'll also be able to hopefully identify what's stopping him from having that success. Be it money, people, procedures, policies, whatever. So yes, you know, that's a long-winded way of saying that 625 is fine with me.
That's a lot less long-winded than what happens with us, so that was, we appreciate that. Who next?
I'll go. So I'm good with coming up with a 62.5 because I feel like my main thing was, you know, not adding anything back in would really make them, you know, go that line by line and tighten things up. I still think the 62.5 gets that, gets them to do that. So I'm good with that.
I'm good. Thank you.
You good with 0 or you're good with 62.5?
I said I'm good with 60.
She's good with the group effort. She's good with the group
We got her, we got her.
You didn't get it at 250.
No, I didn't,
I'm
but
gonna go
hey, I
next because
tried.
you're
We're
the
both
chair.
crying
I'm
over
gonna
here.
go 62.5. And it was your number, so you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I think John said it eloquently. I think it showed good faith on our part that we weren't a hard no, and it's still a little bit of work to do. And with every project, a little work is good.
Should
So,
we, I'd like, actually, if you're
Marcia's-
okay, I'd like Steve's opinion on it, because he was not a voter, I still would like to hear it.
Um,
Especially since I shut
No
the
legal,
mouth.
no legal, right?
I had a nightmare when I first started illegal. But I agree with the he here. I really think we have an opportunity to invest in our superintendent's program. You know, I really do. I don't get a vote here, and that's fine, but I, thank you for asking,
Yeah.
right? You know, if you don't go 250, you know, you wanna give them enough money so that we know they can at least succeed on some of these. And do you think 62.5 will do that?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
because again, they're gonna save 60,000 on the Cubs thing, so they get 120 to do
They're
things
not all
beyond
right.
Cubs.
They're not all tied together.
Right,
They're-
they
No,
can
no,
do
they're
the
separate, they can do them separately, right?
Yes,
Which is a
so
good
that's
way
what I'm
to
saying.
think.
Right.
If they were tied together, okay?
Then we have
Then
And-
all or
and-
nothing.
and we
That
would be
would be
having a
different.
deeper discussion. Trust me when I tell you,
And
and please.
I think I think the board, our board's position, from what I've learned from you, is always been, we're here. We are here.
Right. And I'll be bluntly honest, if they were tied together,
It would be a different
we
discussion.
would have a whole
100%.
different discussion, Steve. And I
100%.
promise you, Naheed, from my heart, if there was, even though you know where I stand on a lot of things, in my heart, if they were tied together to meet this initiative, I would be more maybe leaning towards a much higher number, even breaking the 4 and pushing the 4, finding other things. I think they're not that way. I think
Which next
they
year,
can achieve their goals.
Yes.
we'll get
And we
to
can
correct.
still stay fiscally responsible.
Next
And I
year-
believe that, Steve. I'm not,
Oh, no, no, no,
I've
no.
actually studied this
These-
quite a bit.
There is no perfect answer on these things.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
We make the best decision we can, given the information we have.
correct.
And
I'm not saying you're, and listen, people can argue to the
And next
council.
year, it will be a much different discussion,
Right.
because he
Yeah.
will
We'll have
have,
more information.
we'll have more information.
Look
and-
at the
Make-
fire department.
make
And you'll
better
have less
decisions,
hesitant.
right.
We were
I'll
easy
be
with,
less
we've had a lot of hard
Yes,
decisions
yes.
with the
No,
fire
it's about-
department.
we
don't
So,
have to go
in the
much more
past, I
background.
In
think,
this year's budget, just fine.
I'm very comfortable with this number.
I'm okay
And I
with
think I'm gonna, you'll become, we'll get to where you wanna be. I promise you.
I'm good. At the end of the day, we all have to share different perspectives, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
Right,
Absolutely.
but that perspective's not lost, is I guess is
Yes,
what I'm
no,
trying to
it's
say,
not.
okay? I mean,
Yes,
I think in the end, we're gonna achieve, if everything works, we'll achieve your goal.
yes, I
How's
hope
that?
so, I hope so.
So,
And
can I-
we are here, yeah, go ahead.
Awesome discussion. Can I go to capital for a minute now for,
Yes.
and all our
Yes,
benefit?
yes.
So the way I would describe this, and I
We're
want.
changing it.
No, we're not.
No, we're not
We're
changing
not
it.
touching.
Did you put the signature?
All right, sorry, yeah, go
It's all right, I
ahead.
interrupted Marcia, so she's allowed to do it.
What are you
So-
on on Saturday?
The capital committee brought forward a very tight capital plan, very tight. So if you, I'm just gonna scroll through this, not really stop, but if you look, cutting something that we left in is gonna be very hard to do. We exercise it really hard. Now, Steve added some stuff back, right? So I'm gonna show you what he added back, and, I mean, anywhere it's a positive, right? So added back bonding costs.
I think we're good, because I think my intention was to see if we could buffer that out, but I think we're good with the capital
All right, well,
budget.
good, well, I just wanna
I
show
was
you
happy
there's
with the
not.
capital.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
then I will not.
I was just trying to
When
see
you
if
went
we
over the
could.
capital last time, I was fine with
That
it.
was,
Stop selling.
No.
yeah, you did good.
It's not lost your perspective.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's not lost.
We don't wanna save something this year and cause a problem
I
next
don't
year.
want
Correct,
to
yes.
think it's
Really,
not.
it's-
Because I think next year's
gonna
No,
gonna
no, I
be-
think we
It
did a really good job.
Yes.
And, you know, I clap for you, man.
And
Glenn's
can I
like-
say one thing about that?
She claps for you, Glenn's out.
I
Wait,
still
you
don't
sit
get
here, you sit here, I'll sit there.
Come on, Brian.
Can I add one thing to that, because I think it's important to say?
Copy for us?
Marcia and I have talked to our department managers. They absolutely felt that what happened with the capital committee was the best thing since sliced bread. It worked well, it was smart, it was well-reasoned, they came prepared, and the capital committee came prepared.
Yes.
And this was, they said, very smooth this year, so
Very smooth
thank
this
you.
year.
Thank you.
Speaking of that, how often do you have department meetings?
Once
All
a
the
month,
time.
Once a month?
department heads, yeah.
See, that's why unless we have confidence that these numbers been scrubbed, and Steve scrubs them again, Marcia scrubs them all the time.
All right.
That's the
Right.
scrubbing
To
that,
clarify,
that just.
department head meetings are once a month, budget meetings are
Quarterly.
once a quarter,
Yeah.
or more if needed.
Yeah, if something blows up, we'll meet.
Yeah.
I was hoping it
We're
was
starting
once a
next
month.
week for this
Right.
quarter. Sorry.
So that's why it does go through a real process, Les, and that's what,
Mhm.
I will say the capital committee, because when I first came on board, I'd have arguments, and Steve and I go back and forth. There'd be, so what happens, the
Different.
department would put a 10% contingency, the next guy that was in the line would put a 10% contingency, and by the time we got, the price of the truck was 55,000, but the budget was 87,000,
Yeah.
because everybody had it a little
Yeah,
big,
just a little bit.
right? And so with Marcia's help, Steve's help, and now you guys going through this,
Don't put any puff in.
it streamlines the
No.
process.
There's no puff.
Hey, Marcia.
And that's why some of these budgets do
What?
come in
The
old.
capital other number on the, up there says 4031, and this is 46, we have a different number on that one.
Capital other,
You're minus 76, did that,
Maybe I
No.
didn't make it, yeah, maybe I didn't.
did the minus 76 make it? What's the differential?
That's a lot different.
600,000.
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
we moved contingency, we
Well,
moved
I can do that.
contingency to capital. Someone asked me to do that.
No, we're not moving contingency.
No, I didn't, I made a mistake then.
No,
Hold
we're not
on.
moving contingency. to
No,
capital.
for the health care?
No,
I
not
think you said
capital.
you wanted to put that in.
Someone, and then I'll have to try to remember who it was. You.
I said make an extra line for
Yeah, make a
it.
second contingency, a sub-ledger item under
Oh,
contingency.
You could blame me.
General
But
contingency,
we
medical
didn't put, you
contingency.
wanted me to take it out of the town's percent increase.
Yeah, and I
because-
wanted another bucket, because I
And
didn't
then-
want it to skew the town's increase.
Which
Because I don't want,
And
Which
so-
it's doing.
So I put it into a capital.
No. The town's increase is 578. When I explain it to the town, I will normalize for that. But it's in the town's budget.
No, but
It
it's a
is.
separate line item,
Doesn't
right?
matter. The town's budget's that. When I explain to them, I say, it says 578. By the way, we're holding 150K for next year's thing, so the actual increase is more like this.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm scared about that, because that 150
But
we
it
might
doesn't-
share with the school too, so you're not putting it in
Well,
the
then-
school
but
side of the
It doesn't belong in
budget.
capital.
No, it doesn't belong in
The
capital.
line is
I
called
wanted it to
capital
be.
other, and that's where we used to put it years
Right.
ago.
Yeah, I misunderstood, that's mine, this is on me.
Just
I-
tell me what you like.
Go ahead. I wanted it separated from Steve's budget, because not everybody's gonna watch your town meeting. You're gonna read the newspaper and say, town's up 5.85 and the schools are this, but I'm voting down the budget because the town don't need, but really a percentage of that
Not really.
is contingency. And that's, I know you can explain it, but the person reading the newspaper, getting the Facebook
just gonna see
thing,
the-
they're gonna see the number.
Yeah.
And so the town budget for this
Clickbait.
year has 410 of general contingency.
Right.
Right.
So how much do you want in next year, for our numbers we're looking at, how much do you want in next year's town budget for contingency? The 450, which is equivalent to the 410? You can't go from 410 to 0.
We are
That's
half percent, we've always said
have-
you wanna be a
You
half
You
percent.
have the the one I sent you today up.
No, I hear what you're
Just
saying.
wanna know-
I
just wanna know
understood
what-
what you're saying.
yeah.
No, that, you're right. I don't have you're right. Okay, you're right.
I think in truth, we have invested in our town.
He's saying the 410 is the 410 is the 410. It's not a percentage increase, so that doesn't
Well, no,
change it.
we moved it to 450, so
Right.
we have moved it up
Yeah,
because.
so if only 40,000.
Because we're up 3%.
Right.
And I
But the-
moved the whole road so that it's comparative year to year as versus.
She did
She
move that.
moved all contingency out of the tank.
No,
Yes.
Yes,
no,
she
you
did
left the
this year.
410 in. You left the 410 in or the
No,
450.
we didn't, no, she didn't, she said.
No, look in the budget that you have pulled up, cause I saw that, you have it pulled up
Alright.
on your screen.
Let-
The
let's-
one I sent you today, look at the expenditures.
Can we, I would be more comfortable if you had a separate line for contingency as opposed to capital such other.
We could do that, although we,
4708.
You don't like that, cause why? Go ahead.
we would have to change the whole ballot and vote on that separately.
Right?
Because we vote on town budget,
No, we vote on one number.
You vote on
No.
contingency, people are gonna say no.
No, we don't vote
need
on,
it.
we vote on one number in the town, well, two, we vote on the capital plan.
Yeah.
we
And
the
vote
school
on,
on
side and the
total-
town side.
we
School
vote
side
on
and
the
town
town number,
side.
which includes the
right.
capital.
We don't vote on the town number.
No, we do school side and town side.
No, we
both.
don't.
We
There's
do.
one number. We say, is the town too high, too low, is the school too high, too low? We have one number.
It's
we vote
one
on.
number for the town, that's what I'm, okay,
total
I'm
town.
following you,
Right,
I'm following
right,
you.
Which is
The-
composed of 5 sub-numbers.
Yep.
We
yep.
vote on 94, 349, 164. That's the only number that gets voted on.
Okay, I'm
No.
making the change here. but-
Well, no, maybe it's stupid.
No,
We're
no, it's
talking
two.
about.
We vote on the school budget too.
No, we
Schools
do.
side
and
No,
town.
it does.
We
It's-
don't?
It
No,
clearly
sure?
says.
Yes,
I
it's
think we
stupid.
vote on both.
No,
do.
go look at-
I
The school
remember
and
that
town,
too.
but the town is one number made up of,
The town budget as so,
Right, I mean, I
and
could
the
be
school
wrong, I
budget.
don't-
the
I
No,
didn't-
you do vote separately.
I don't remember, is it too high,
separately.
too low?
It,
Good.
yes, but
in the
it's,
charter
it's the
it says-
town button,
And then it says
then you go,
too
is it
high,
too high,
too
too
low
low, or
on both
inadequate
budgets.
or something,
So,
right?
we vote on two, Brian, you wanna
I
know
got it.
why? Because the town can pass and the school can fail.
Right.
The main number doesn't fail. The town can pass and the school can fail,
Or vice
or
versa.
vice versa. Right, I apologize. You're
Yeah.
right. So it's 2 line items. I just wanted Marcia to move it because I didn't want it to skew Steve's
Yeah.
actual operational percentage.
Yeah.
Because that's a contingency, it's not an operation.
Brian's
But
really
isn't-
good at
hasn't
this,
the
he
whole-
can explain
hasn't
it to
that
the whole
always been
town,
part of the
one
town?
person
But
at a
no,
time.
listen to.
Yeah, but we added in 200,000.
No, last year was
We've been
410.
listening to you.
Yeah, but we added in 50,000,
You can't
so that we made the
listen.
one line, we added the 150,000 health contingency
But
on
the
that
one
line.
fifty is the only additional, the 450.
No, 410 was in, we moved it to 450, so we added another 40,000 to that line. So really, the net difference is almost 200,000.
But
Yeah.
don't we always have 0.5% in our contingency?
Which
That's
is,
almost
yeah,
the
but
whole
that's
percent.
excluded from that, that's what I'm saying.
But that's always been part of the town's budget, hasn't that been part of it?
Yes, but we got 600,000 in there now.
150 more.
No, 600,000.
600.
No, no.
150 more.
We're going from 410 to
150 more.
600.
No?
Yes, we
Yes,
are.
yes.
Are you
yes,
sure?
I'm
yes,
100% sure.
Yes.
I
that
thought
was
we
a-
added in the cameras for the license plate.
That's 20,000 something.
That's on top of the 410.
That's within the 450.
It's part of the 450.
It is. It's the 410 with
Whoa,
the
whoa,
430.
whoa, what are we talking about? You're saying 450 and you're saying 150 and I'm saying 600,000.
That's right.
Right.
600 is composed of two numbers.
450, 150.
Right.
Composed together is 600,000.
Correct.
Right, then why are we putting up on 410? I'm lost here.
That's
this
what we
year's
started with.
So
Yeah.
what we're saying,
Okay,
I think what I was
We
trying to
started
say
to
was
add the
that
40 grand to that.
contingency
Right.
has been part of the town budget,
410, absolutely.
which this year is 450. Because
Correct,
of,
plus
right?
150.
150 is the only number that's new this year, and we want to define it as a health insurance bucket,
Correct,
which is a new initiative from the town.
correct.
Right?
But we don't want it to show up as a cost to Steve because it's not really an operational cost for Steve.
So in the past, it had been put in capital. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's, right?
Right, that's
No,
what I'm,
in the
That's
past,
right, I was wrong.
years ago, it was,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
in
yeah,
capital.
yeah.
A few years ago, it was
The
changed
rare
to
occasion, right, Brian?
the
The rare
town's
occasion that we're
budget.
right.
Um, I can put it any
Rare
place
occasion, I
you
admit
guys.
Marcia, be nice.
Let's put
Okay,
it in
so
the
we
school
can't do that,
budget and
just-
everybody will think it's great.
I got a bank
Ah.
account.
There's only two numbers. There's the town and there's the school. We can't have a
Yes.
third number.
Correct,
Okay.
I'm good with you. It's gonna go into town, but I don't want it to highlight
So,
town as
Yeah, but
operational.
we're just gonna have to
If
live
we're
with
going
it.
to, if we're going to use this for both school and town,
We don't know how we're gonna use it.
we don't know,
Right.
we're just putting it away.
Right.
And your concern is, shouldn't go in the town.
So,
It's fine to be there, we just don't wanna highlight his percentage going up an
Yeah.
inflated amount, that someone votes no because they think Steve's budget's too high.
so we have to be clear, and I'm sure Brian will do this.
In the
Here it is, and then we
presentation.
all are saying, here's the actual increase year to year in the town budget. And we are doing this on
What do we
top
gotta
of that.
change to make your number right?
To
Take it out of
create
capital.
I think you
service
gotta
fund.
take 600,000 out of capital other and put it in town ops.
So capital other, where's capital other on here? So I'm
Yeah.
losing it.
All right, hold on.
But the
And we
problem
break
is,
it
the
into
problem
two
is, I
different
will be very
contingencies.
clear, but very
Yeah.
few people watch
Right,
that.
but the 22
That's
people
true.
that come in,
Yeah.
that's the
Right.
22 people that show up to
But
listen
it's-
to
My
them
fear
will
is
get
the
it. But
semantics,
the
the town side is out of
23
control.
people,
It's $150,000
but the
of
7,
24
but the
million.
17
What
hundred.
percentage is it?
All right, you're fine, we're going with it, put it in the town, we'll
Yeah.
deal with it, we'll
Yeah.
deal with it,
Yeah.
we'll manage it,
It's a very small percentage.
we'll manage it. I just,
Ah,
No, it's not.
150,000
it's a 0.5%.
of 24
watch.
million.
Remember, our budget isn't $55
yeah,
million.
but so our,
No,
our,
you were already going to have 450 in there.
It's 3/4 of
watch,
Yeah,
we're growing 5.78% of the town, right? If
yeah.
I take out that incremental contingency. Oh, that's like.
Well,
no,
take these-
Hold on, I
Yeah,
can't count zeros. Okay, so there you go, there's the difference, 5.14.
And what was it?
So it's almost 0.6%.
Yeah.
0.6%.
That's what I was saying, that's a number that people might look at, that get hung up, like, why is Steve going up so much?
But no, but when we show the town number, it will include debt service and cash capital.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
now
you're
it's a
right.
much smaller
It'd be
number.
blends, sorry, blends.
That's true.
All right, let's
It'll-
put,
Okay.
let's put it
It's just
back,
perception.
Marcia, I messed this all
Perception,
up.
perception.
So
It's
we're
a-
gonna have four.
You do a
I'm
good
still-
job.
But people don't see it.
Four.
You know, I
I
mean,
know,
14
I
people
know.
watch.
Again, I think we have
Well, and
3.59.
then 17.
It's a great number.
And this becomes
17,000.
24, 907, 529.
Yes.
And we've got it divided 450 and 150,
Yes, two different buckets
yeah.
For us to know.
for us to know.
So you're saying the numbers is $24,907,529 on the town operations. The school operations didn't change, the debt service stayed the same. The capital other goes down to $4,031,767.
Right up on the wall there. Yep.
Right? 767, is that what you got?
767.
All right, and then the capital side is good.
Hold on, I gotta look at that. I'm sure it is at Marshall.
So we don't need, I can change this on the fly, because I know my numbers.
Oh, you can say them.
I can say them correctly.
Let me just.
All the geeks and the nerds in the room.
We love this stuff.
Oh, I didn't update for the reduction you just took out, that's why, right? You're so far ahead of me.
That's what she said.
Let's make sure Marcia and
That's.
Brian agree.
Yeah, I
Yeah, added up the
It
word you
looks right, but
spoke,
I-
same
give me
thing,
1
the
minute.
word you spoke.
Brian,
and it's still
what would be
equal
your
to
total?
94,349,160.
Because I gotta do this.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
And we take,
Well, I
yeah.
just wanna make sure
No,
that
but
actually
we
we're
take it out to
talking about right
71.
and
Can you kill another tree and send this again to me tomorrow?
I've always done it.
Yes.
I'll kill another tree with written notes.
Can I have a minute to just?
You got a minute, but we're cutting into my time now. I am supposed to be somewhere at 9
Hold on,
o'clock.
I mean, I assume,
The trivia started.
So Naheed, this is when we should have brought up the 250.
That's right.
That's right.
This is
We
the
get-
time. He would have said, yes,
No,
go
no,
for it.
no, I wouldn't.
I know, I'm just
I-
kidding, I'm
no.
just kidding.
Like I said, if it was all tied together, we would have had another conversation. I promise you that 100%.
Next year, we will have another conversation. I have
We will.
faith.
I
Fingers
have faith
crossed.
too.
And if I believe in you.
Brian,
I hope
what's
we-
your
actually,
number?
I hope
Hold on, I'm
you do.
just trying to get
Yes,
to it now.
yes. Because
Okay.
we have bigger problems to solve
I
and
hope
we'll
you
have,
do.
we have a lot of things to
10,000.
figure.
I really believe that,
10,000
okay?
bucks, I want
You
it.
have my commitment for that.
276, 107, 287.
We have-
For some reason I'm off $10,000 on the general fund. Grants is right, sort of the same. I'm off 10,000 for some reason. You
Did
put
we
in the
act-
10,000 of
For the
additional.
310,000?
Insurance?
Is it the
Insurance?
dental?
No, the EMS, no, I have 50,000. We put in 40 for the EMS building, right?
Yes.
Okay, I only have 10, we're good.
Yeah,
Out
yeah,
of
yeah.
410.
She's right,
450
as
goes back.
always.
This
Um,
paper's right now.
This paper, yes.
And before we end the meeting, I wanna
We have
say,
to-
No, I gotta make a proposal, I gotta make a motion.
Hold it.
Before we do the clap.
She's clap happy over there.
I-
All right.
Now, Marcia was not even looking at me. was
Before I
clapping
make a
for her.
motion, we all good? We think we're at the point now to put this to the town? One thing I want you all to know, and Marcia can correct me, we do have one chance after the town meeting. If we hear something that changes our minds, we can set up a meeting and change the budget accordingly. So if something compelling does come up that any one of you feel compels you individually, we will meet again as a group. So I mean, it doesn't even have to compel to me, it doesn't, Brianna, whatever, it compels to you, Les, and you say, hey, I wanna have a conversation, we'll come together and have a conversation. I don't know what we make it, but
I
we'll make
wouldn't
that
put any
conversation.
money on that, but go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to open it up, that if you hear
Yeah.
something, or,
I
you know,
understand.
that we're open to, we're not closing our budget down and saying
Yeah.
we're done.
We don't walk away tonight.
We are gonna open it up and we'll find a way to manage this, okay? So I just wanna be clear. Everybody else good?
Yeah,
I'm gonna read
good.
the motion. I move the Board of Finance approve the recommended to a public hearing the following operational budget for fiscal year 2026-2027. Town operations, $24,907,529. School operations, $57,636,455. Debt service, $7,773,413. Capital other, $4,031,767, for a total of $94,349,164, as outlined and described in the operating budget being submitted to the town clerk on March 20th, 2026. This budget anticipates a mill rate of 29.97 for the fiscal year, increase for the, or 29.97 for the fiscal year 26-27, an increase of 3.59 over the mill rate of the current fiscal year. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. I think we've all discussed this.
Yes.
I think we're good to go. Let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Note that we are unanimous on passing the budget. Thank you. We're gonna move on to the next. I move that the Board of Finance approve and recommend to a public hearing an amount not to exceed $10,234,067 for the capital budget for fiscal year 2026-2027, as outlined and described in the capital budget being submitted to the town clerk on March 20th, 2026, and to approve the financing in an amount not to exceed these amounts with the acceptance of grants and issuance of bonds and/or temporary notes in accordance with the standard bonding and borrowing resolution for said appropriation not to exceed $5,551,465,000. The balance will come from the following sources: Open Space Conservation Funds, $200,000; Police Outside Services Funds, $76,344; Capital Non-Reoccurring Fund, $287,056; Parks and Recreation Fund, $107,435; tax dollars from General Fund, $4,011,767. Totals approved separately, $4,682,602. Grants of $2,900,822. Bonded, $2,650,643. Total approved in bond resolution, $5,551,465, with a total of capital spending of $10,234,067. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. Again, we've had all these discussions.
Yep, apologize, I have just one quick question. Why is the grant and bond subtotal to bond resolution? I just didn't understand.
So they're both included in the bond resolution, and I sent you the bond resolution, so that if, one, we have to approve it somehow, that, and the appropriation, and two, that, let's say a grant comes in $5 less and we have to bond $5 more, but let's say if we don't get a grant, and that's what I sent through in draft, that I've asked her to put in there, that it comes back to this board. Do we still want to do the roofs if we don't get the 1.4 million, or if it's $100,000 less than what we thought? We don't have to go back for a bond resolution.
Got it, thank you, understand.
Good?
I'm good.
No,
No
I
more
wasn't being
questions. No,
bad. I was just being, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Before we go, I wanna thank y'all. I think we did a good job. I think it's solid. I think it's, a lot of work. I think everybody brought a lot to the table. I think all of our mindsets and skill sets worked well together, and I appreciate all of your time, and I think this is good.
I have one thing before we go into the quick, sir.
Yeah.
So, whatever, the 31st I'm gonna present for us. I've got the pitch 99% done, I just had to update for the numbers we changed. I'd like us to look, not now, I'd like us to look at it, but I can't like send it to everybody because then it's public record and it's a draft, and I don't want a draft going out because there could be something wrong in it. So I need some help on figuring out how I can get, I'd love to have other sets of eyes on it to see if there's any recommendations on how to adjust it. So,
I believe drafts aren't covered under FOI, as long as you're intending to make them a final.
is there a way someone can just check on that for me? You don't have to do it this second, but if you can, so if that's the case, then look in your mail for the pitch and please take a look at it, and if you have any constructive criticism, I'm more than happy to take it. I think it's.
And we all agree Brian would do this, right? We're all
You
in
are
agreement, the
willing to
nice.
not-
Yeah.
No. You're the best person that will keep a calm presentation of the numbers to the town. I think you follow right in Dan's suit back
Yes.
thing of well presenting to the town.
Facts, man.
That's what we need.
Yep.
And that's how I feel.
If
I
anybody's
just
ever-
gave you what you asked for this morning.
Oh, yeah, we'll keep that, thank you.
And I'd like to say, as the rookie here, that this has been one hell of an interesting experience, especially for someone who had no idea that they would ever be sitting in this chair. And I'm very impressed with the knowledge around the table, and I'm learning a lot. But I really am impressed with the cream of the crop sitting to my left here. The amount of work that you do and put together for us is just
Now I'm doing
Yeah,
it.
we-
phenomenal.
I'm doing it, I'm doing
Now you
it.
can-
Now we're clapping.
I really appreciate it.
Yes.
We love you, Marcia.
Yes,
Yes,
we love
we
you,
do.
yes, and thank you.
I mostly do good hires.
Mostly do good.
The question is, so I'm on the state website, legal guide, freedom of information, I Googled it, so it's
Here,
access to
Brian.
information in
John.
judicial.
That's the list.
There are numerous exemptions, some more general than others. For example, one exemption is for preliminary notes and drafts. If the public interest in withholding such document outweighs the public interest in disclosure. I don't know how you would tell that.
Well, they're gonna get it in a week anyway, once
Yeah.
it's final. Okay, do people agree that that's okay for me to send to you and it's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Bye, man.
We'll deal with it, we'll deal with it.
Okay.
Steve just hit this document, just so we know, I asked Steve, and he did it, is because of our fiscal responsibility and what we've done with the borrowing of the school, and we're gonna have to borrow for the police station, is the savings, he put out the savings of 4% interest on a 20-year loan. He put it on 30, it's about 20, we saved $10 million. Because of our, so, and the right
we're
market
triple
timing.
A.
So I don't want you to think, market timing helped, but our good standing helped us achieve these things. So this is why we're driving these fiscal responsibilities. If we had this $9 million on our debt schedule, it puts us behind 2 more years, 3 more years of accomplishing what we wanna do.
And what's interesting, going 20 years versus 30 years?
Yeah, 26 million to 9 million.
In the first 10 years, we go from dropping $7.5 million in principal
Yep.
to over 12. That opens up the ability.
And I wanted the town to know that, who's ever watching, is this is why we look like we're pounding on people and hounding people, but we're saving so much and giving this town so much opportunity to grow and to fund the capital, because again, funding the, we can all fund operations, but being able to fund the capital saves us down the road of repairs and total disasters. So when we seem pushing hard, we seem curt, we seem overly whatever, and I'm most guilty, is this is why, to help us achieve what we want to achieve. And on that note, again, Marcia, I'd like to personally thank you for all the time, phone calls, and everything else, and putting up with me, number one. So, Steve, also appreciate everything that you put into this as well.
We have a very good process here, right? And from myself, the Board of Selectmen does this well, and you guys do it really well. Marcia is a linchpin to that, but we get to very, very good decisions, I think. We're not always gonna agree on something,
don't
but
have
we
to.
get
You don't have
to
to.
well-reasoned decisions.
Yeah, and again, I
In
respect
looking to the future.
everybody here, so
Yes.
thank you. And on that,
I agree.
are you led the meeting, are you making the motion?
I'm back down in my,
I
back
refuse.
down into wave state.
Oh, so it's now my job now, I get to clean up. All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn, do I